Well,
I always do techno music. I always do techno music.
It's not a rave.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The system is down.
Welcome to the Ruining Your Liver Hangout. A group of friends that like to get together and talk about arcade games, movies, and arcade repair, and some arcade news in the community, and all fun stuff like that. And tonight we have a special guest brought to you by Jimbo Dini. I'm going to let Jimbo Dini take over. And
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you did. It's all you.
It was all a mistake. No,
it's all your fault.
Well, actually, Steve PM'd me on Club, and actually, that's a funny story. And he's like, "Hey, I'd like to come on. I'd like to come on your show and chill with you guys. What's the link again?" I respond, I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool." And here's the link, and we go on. I gave him all the details. I was like, "Oh shit! I thought you were. I was reaching out to the arcade radio guys."
So where's the hang up sound?
Close enough.
Yeah. So yeah, close.
Like within a span of like 6 hours, I got with you and the arcade radio guys. I don't know. It's like my little 15 minutes of fame at the moment. So
I forgot to mention we're episode 158, and we're America's longest live arcade podcast.
Great timing.
And we never introduce ourselves, so good luck finding out who's who.
It's deliberate.
Yeah, notes are in the description.
It's deliberate.
It's 100% deliberate.
Yeah.
We're just peeps. All right, Jim, take it away.
So I was excited though to have Steve on here. I've bought a lot of stuff from him. So Steve runs the arcadefixit.com website. I believe that's right. And he specializes in like hard to find new old stock parts. So anytime that you're looking for something that no one has, and he's usually a good resource to check with. So that's my experience. But other than that, I don't know, Steve. I don't know your story. I know that obviously you've got a boat ton of parts, and you've been dealing in this industry for a long time. Yes. But the whole backstory with how that happened, and I don't know any of that jazz. And then there's the rumor flowing around that you were on a Starcade episode. So we have quite a bit to chat about, and it could potentially be pretty arcade dense for this show. So
we're sorry.
Sorry, guys. It's called the Arcade Hangout, but really it's just the hang. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, believe me, I can.
Yeah.
So if I start rambling, just interrupt me because I can talk.
I've got a soundboard for that. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's all good. But yeah, so tell us your story, Steve. Like, how did you get into this crazy industry, and yeah, and the business and all that fun stuff?
Well, let's see. The first time I played a coin operated game was probably when I was 7 or 8. So this would have been the mid 70s. Our elementary school had like every once a month they had a thing at the skating rink where you would go, for skate night. So my dad took me there, and there was a pinball machine there, and I go, "Hey, Dad, what's that?" So he I think this was back when it was actually a dime. They were still a dime back then. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it was like a dime 1 play and a quarter for 3 plays. Anyhow, he put it in, pushed the button, and of course the lights and the bells, and it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. But I was sort of intimidated because, I was probably 7 or 8 and just like, what is this thing? Well, once he pushed that start button, that sort of set off my journey, I guess.
It's like the first domino.
Yeah, exactly. So flash forward to around 1981, the local arcade opened up, or the mom and pop arcade, I should say, which I hung out there pretty much every day on the weekends, 10, 12 hours a day from when they open, when they close. And one time I asked the arcade owner. I go, hey, I just got like $125 for Christmas. I go, do you have any games for sale? And he goes, well, let's go over to the warehouse. So he drove me over to his little warehouse, and I bought my reactor. So I bought my,
Holy shit.
first, yeah, when I was, I think 12 or 13. No, maybe 14. Yeah.
That's every kid's dream. Own an arcade machine at that age. Yeah.
Well, okay, well, yeah, well, okay. See, now I got to backtrack a little bit. When I was, I think 12, we had a gold mine, which is the local chain or the big national chain, owned by Nickels and Dimes. Every Christmas they have all their games for sale. So I bought a Surf Champ pinball. It was $249. I had like half the money, and my parents kicked in the other half. So that's when my first coin operated game was a Surf Champ pinball. Now flash forward to the arcade guy. So I bought Reactor, which I still have in my living room right now. So I bought that.
Carrie's reactors in her living room. It must be a reactor thing.
Yeah.
Hey, I came back just in time.
Harry.
I would say reactor.
Yeah, did somebody say exactly?
Yeah,
What?
I haven't played it in years. It just collects dust. So from like age 14 to 16, I bought some more games. And at age 16, I got a job at a local liquor store. And my boss says, hey, I know you have some games. Why don't you put a couple in the store? And I was like, okay. So I probably, back then it probably would have been like a Donkey Kong Jr. and a Ms. Pac-Man and a Food Fight or something like that. So I did that, and that got me like in the operating mode per se. So
now I gotta stop you there at age 16, and having a couple games on location. How often were they breaking down? Were you repairing them as a 16-year-old and fixing them up, or how did?
Yeah, I learned as far as tech work. I just learned trial and error, basically.
Okay.
Wow. There was a time when I nicked 3 tubes in a 3-hour span.
Oh shit.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Just a bad day.
Yeah, that was Yeah. Okay, and then now when Milestar when they decided they were going to shut down, they were closing out all their games. So Three Stooges was on closeout. So back then I was getting the trade magazines like Replay Magazine and Play Meter. So I would read all the industry news. So back in the back of those magazines, they had all the ads. So Betson, which is the big distributor chain here in the States, they had an ad, Three Stooges, $745. So it's like, okay, I'm going to buy it because I'm a big Stooges fan.
Nice.
And I didn't drive, so I had.
You gotta get used to it. Sorry.
So the arcade owner, I said, hey, I want to go buy this game. Can you go pick it up for me? He goes, oh, well, just come down with me. So we drove down to LA, picked it up. On the way home, he says, hey, when you get done playing this game at your house, let me know and we can put it in the arcade. I'm like, okay, cool. So a couple months later, I was done playing and put it in his arcade. And by that time, I had bought a couple other games that were like sort of newer per se. And he goes, well, put them in the arcade. It's like, okay. And then Gauntlet came out. And
quarter muncher.
Yeah. And then, well, actually, I was going to buy a Ghost and Goblins when they came out. But I called my buddy who lived in LA, and he says, oh, no. He goes, you got to check out this game called Gauntlet. He goes, it's really cool. So I looked. Well, I didn't look it up. I had to do research manually. So basically,
no
I bought
internet.
No internet back then, everybody.
So I bought a Gauntlet brand new, and I got it delivered to the house, and I got a phone call like literally that night from the arcade owner. He said, I'm coming over tomorrow to pick up this game when we're going to put it in the arcade. I'm like, well, wait, I want to play it a little bit. He goes, okay, I'll give you 2 days.
Jeez.
So, yeah, come to, I don't know if you guys didn't operate, but back then Gauntlet made tons of money. So I was a high school kid, 16 years old, making like $300-400 a week, my half.
Fuck.
In high school. And this was like 1985.
That's better than a paper route.
Yeah. It was insane. It was insane. So after that, I bought more games, and then I would put different locations. So at one point, I had a route of about 60 pieces.
And you're in high school doing this.
At high school, yeah. I didn't drive.
Oh my God!
I had to pay the kids that drove. I had to give them like $20 to help me move games and stuff.
Case of beer.
Yeah. And so that's I did that for probably till the early 90s, like 92ish when I got out of operating. And I back then I bought many new games in the box, videos and pins. Some winners, some losers.
What's an example of what was a big loser?
Time killers.
Yeah. Do you remember what the last few games were before you got out?
Yeah, the last brand new game I bought was a Mortal Kombat 2.
Okay.
Because I missed out. I remember my distributor calling me saying, "Oh, you got to get these Mortal Kombat. It's the hottest game out. You got to get one." It was like $3,000 or like $3,500. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna. No, I'll pass. Well, I missed out on that one. So when Mortal Kombat 2 came out, I bought one of those, and those were $42.95.
Any Street Fighters?
Oh yeah, I bought a championship edition when they came out. That did pretty good. I had a couple of those. Those were like $3,000 brand new. And then I bought some kits, a couple of kits. Those were like $1,500 for the kits.
Wow.
You remember these are like late 80s dollars too. We're talking.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, early 90s. Those would be early 90s.
Yeah.
Convert that currency.
And you keep all the money that gets put into those, right? Like once you buy the game, you don't have to give anything back to the company.
50%. I give 50% to the location.
Got it.
No. He buys the game like from the factory, but when he puts it on location, he has to split it, right?
Correct. Yes.
Arcade owner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still have to come up with the full amount for the game, and then you recoup it back from the half sales from the location, right? Yeah, and that's still done. It's still done that way too.
So really, the arcade owner is the one that's benefiting the most.
Totally. And your game gets trashed by people. You got to fix it.
Well, for me, when I bought the Gauntlet, it was beneficial for both of us. I mean, he didn't have to dish out the $3,000 for the game, but I had it in a very high traffic location because Gauntlets wouldn't make that type of money in a street location.
I suppose because they own the space, so so that's a trade off. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they're paying rent and employees and
exactly. So so that was my foray into operating. Then I took a break for a couple of years, and then after that, Damon Clausen and I got together.
I know Damon.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
So
we started Blast from the Past, which was a restoration company, and that was from like maybe 96 to 2002.
Oh, I know. I knew you looked familiar. You're the one I got the Pac-Man glasses from. Do you remember me? We talked about Damon actually. We talked about Damon together and stuff.
Glasses? You mean like these type of glasses?
Yeah. I got the Pac-Man glasses I bought from you, and you held them for me for a while.
From you.
Oh, okay, great. Woohoo!
No, you probably don't. You don't remember. It was at an expo show or something.
Yeah, I have hundreds of. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I now that I'm thinking about it, people are starting to look familiar.
But
it's too bad Gak's not on because he's chatted with you quite a bit.
Damon's a really good guy, though. I really like Damon a lot. He's cool.
Yeah. Well, interesting story how we met is I had an ad in a local little we had what we call Easy Ad, which was a little magazine that you would buy or give away for free at anyhow. I had a Battlezone for sale, and he called me saying, "Oh, I want to come buy it." So he came over and we were talking. He's like, "Oh, well, I have a Space Ace and a couple other games," and I'm like, "Oh, well, I have this and that," and then I go, "Well, I can do you one better." We were starting to like brag and try to one up each other, and I'm like, "Well, I was on Starcade," and he looked at me and goes, "Well, so was I," and I'm like, pretty much at that moment, we became pretty much, like not best buds, but really good friends.
That's awesome.
I'm not gonna say that. Then you just got all mad at each other.
Fuck you! Well, I won. How'd you do?
Yeah. So, did either of you go home with the game? Is the question.
I didn't. No,
that would be the way to one up. Well, we were both on Starcade.
No, Damon won on Starcade. He did the episode where he's with his mom, where it's mom and son type of episode. Yeah, and he actually won. That was cool. I think he got a space ace. I think right when he won.
Yeah, I think that's what he got.
Took the money for the winnings, and got a space ace.
Yeah. I think he sold the game that he won and then bought a space ace.
Yeah,
he's a big laser guy.
Yeah, he's a laser guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can go into detail on that. I don't know which direction you want me to go, but.
Well, talk about Starcade for a little bit because I don't know your side of Starcade. So, what was yours? Just a standard episode where you were just with another contestant?
Yeah,
type of thing.
Yeah, I was, I think 14 when that happened, and I think my contestant was probably the same, 13, 14, the same age.
And you remember the games you played for the show?
I do, unfortunately.
And were you good at them at the time?
Well, yeah. Well, I'll yeah. Hold on. So I played Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. Was it Pac Plus or Super Pac-Man? I don't remember. It was like 3 packs and then a Donkey Kong and a Donkey Kong Jr., which I think the first show that had like that type of family of games together, because before it was just like mishmash of everything, which sort of sucked on my part because it was nothing exciting. I mean, I was excited to be there, but the games weren't really exciting. But what on Starcade, what they did is if you got called in for to go down and apply, for lack of a better term, they would meet at a hotel like in the conference room at a hotel in San Francisco where it was filmed, and they would ask you trivia questions. And I remember there was probably 30 or 40 kids in this room and adults, and they were asking these questions, just like blah, this and that, and then they asked, Who is Nolan Bushnell? And then everybody was like just sitting there, and I'm like, And so I answered the question, and so what later in life you realize what they were doing. They were trying to pair you up with people the same knowledge as you.
Right.
And if I would have known, I would have just played dumb.
Oh no.
Because also when they would take you back to the studio where they had that big room with all the games in it, and you would play each game for like 2 minutes or whatever, a minute, and write down your score, and then they would match you up with your playability. Well, I'm there going, I'm just going to get the best scores I can, and I'm just, playing all these games. Well, I should have just sucked at each game, because then I would have been matched up.
It benefited sandbagging, in other words. Huh?
Yeah. So that was something. Yeah. But I had a great time. I mean, it was something that I'll never forget. What were we just talking about? Starcade. That's right.
You didn't get to win a robot?
No. I won a Redline bike.
Oh, okay.
A cruiser Redline, which back in the 80s, early 80s, Redline was like the bike to have, like with a mongoose or mongoose and Redline.
He's missing it. Yeah.
So yeah, good times. And then so I don't know if you want me to elaborate more on Starcade or.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great story. Yeah.
Yeah. Not everybody can say they've been on Starcade.
Yes. How did you get selected to even go in and apply to be on it?
Well, since it was filmed in San Francisco, and of course I lived in California, I saw it every Saturday when it came on. So at the end of the show, they said, if you want to be a contestant, send your name and address to this address, and then we'll call you back. So, well, that's what I did. And
so
did you only write in once or like 10 times?
Well, see, at first when they get you at the hotel, they have like a camera set up, so they have you. I don't know if you guys have seen. Have you guys all seen Starcade episodes?
Or who hasn't?
Yeah.
Almost everyone.
Yeah.
Probably.
If you notice, there's a lot of running and a lot of clapping as you run. They tell you to do that. So at the audition, they tell you when they go, when we call your name, jump up, clap and run, and be really enthused. So they want to see how you look on camera. They want to know how smart or dumb you are. And then that's when you get called back if you're going to be on the show. You go home, and then a couple of weeks later they say, okay, we're picking you. So I was not picked the first round because I guess I didn't look good on camera from what I was sort of told.
They didn't like your clapping.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kept missing.
Not enthusiastic.
Yeah.
His eyes weren't big enough when he ran.
So somebody actually backed out. So I was like the second person to call. So that's how that's what happened is
Starcade stand-in.
that's right. Arcade stand-in. Yeah.
Default.
But Damon always kept in touch with James, and I forgot the woman's name, but it was a couple that produced the show, and they created it and produced it, and they lived in the city, San Francisco. So when Damon and I had Blast from the Past, we found out that Gyrus was Jim's favorite game, so we restored one for him and we delivered it to him, as a as a freebie, as a thank you. And really nice people. So they invited, we hung out at their house for a little bit and reminisced about stuff. This was probably this had to be like 99 or 2000, somewhere around there when we did that.
Oh, okay.
So I think that was right when they were starting to archive things and put it online. So but I think it was late 90s when we did that.
We should get both of you guys out of Grinkers and do a Starcade live.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And then everyone clap when they run.
Clap, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Reenact the whole thing.
Yeah, there will be that day.
I don't run anymore. I'll gladly drive
lucky
in
for you, most of the games are pretty close to each other.
Yeah, well, lucky. I mean, I'll scoot in on a hover round. I have no problem with that, but I'm not going to run in.
Steve, were you on the show when it was the first host or the second host?
I had Mark Richards.
Oh, okay.
So I think he was the second. I think Alex Trebek was the first guy, right? Or he was like the pilot. Alex
He was the pilot, and then they had this one host.
Jeff Edwards, he was after. Wait, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was like two hosts did it. One just did it for a little bit, and then there's I forget the main guy's name.
Yeah, well, my show was one of the early shows, so it had to be Mark Richards and then Jeff Edwards after that.
Okay.
So back to for my business in the coin op biz. So then Damon and I started Blast from the Past. We did that for like 5 years. After 9/11, I mean, we were doing pretty good. All our sales went to guys that were our age, in our 30s that wanted to reminisce their teenage years. But man, after 9/11 happened, I mean, literally overnight, the next day, our sales just tanked.
Wow.
I mean, nobody was buying anything.
Really?
And that lasted for a good 6 months. So we sort of decided to hang it up around mid 2002.
That's a good run.
That's interesting. That reaction happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember there was an order I had to ship to New York, and it's like, oh, I don't want to ship a big box to New York, because everybody was on high alert. So I wasn't going to be shipped this big box to New York. So and then come into the parts business. I got into the parts business in 2006.
Okay.
Or actually, no, I take that back. I started the website 2006, but I got unofficially in the parts business in 2002. So after Blast from the Past broke up, I got a call from my salesman at my distributor, which was C.A. Robinson in Los Angeles, and he said, "Hey, I know you buy parts to restore your games. Our San Francisco branch, we're shutting it down. So go up there and see if there's stuff that you need." Or it was they had the test units. What was that Atari test unit? The
PAT 9000 or something.
Yeah. Because
how the hell did I know that?
I know. Wow.
that was some random trivia that would have gotten paired with somebody really good at.
Yeah. So I drove up to San Francisco, and it was like on a silent auction type thing. And I remember I put a bid in of, I don't know, like $400 or whatever. Anyhow, I won that. So I took that home. And I was walking through their warehouse, and there were these two big boxes, maybe like 4 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet. And they said Atari on them, and the other one said Bally on it. And I'm like, well, what are those? He goes, oh, those are just, old parts that we're clearing out. It's like, oh, well, how much are they? He goes, well, make me an offer. So I think I offered him like really low, like $500, because I didn't even know what was in them. So he had to call the head honcho in LA, and they passed on that offer. And I go, well, just tell me what you want. Because then I looked through the box, and it's like, oh, that's cool. All these Atari parts that we could use for restoration, or I could use for my personal games. Because back then I had about 100 games in my own collection.
Nice.
So I got that lot for like $1,000, and that's what sort of got me in the parts business per se. More of it was more like a high, because it was like Christmas. You would open the box and you would just take out a parts bin, and it was like, wow, look at that. You look someone and it's like, wow, look at that. So this was, early stages of also the internet. So I started researching part numbers, and I found Brady Distributing back in Charlotte, North Carolina. They had just started an online website, and these part numbers that I was punching in were coming up as they had stuff in stock. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I ordered this, that, and that. So I did a couple of orders, and next thing you know, the guy calls me, the parts manager. He says, I see you're buying a lot of these old parts. He goes, if you want some more, I can give you better deals, and I'll ship them to you for free, second day air. I'm like, okay. So then I would order like bigger lots, because, I guess I just had so much stuff. Well, about a year later, the head honcho says, we want to free up space. We have all these old parts, sell them. So the parts guy calls me, says, we have all these parts. Do you want to buy them? I go, well, send me a list. So he sent me a list. I mean, and there were parts from everything from Atari, Exidy, Konami, Taito, everything. Yeah, it was like 115,000 like wholesale dollars. And I go, well, how much do you want for this stuff? And he goes, we want $10,000. I'm like, oh shit. I go, okay, fine, done deal. So I that was my first major purchase. It was like 5 pallets of stuff, and they delivered it for free, because at that time Brady Distributing was getting into branding their own games. So the show in Vegas was happening. It took them like 4 months to get my whole order together. So they said, well, what we'll do, we'll stick them on the truck when we go to Vegas, and I'll have the truck stop over at your place and drop them off. I'm like, even better. So that sort of got me into like the parts business, like major real time, because now I had, thousands of parts, and
they all had those part numbers, so you could just
Isn't
that how you still catalog? That's what I thought.
Well, yeah. When I do bulk buys, which I haven't done in a while because the sources are drying up, but yeah, I would try to get them to send me a master list so I can make them an offer. So I have master lists of all my bulk buys I've done over the years. So that's why I tell people, send me a part number, and then I can look it up and see if I can have it, or see if I have it. So then after that, I started getting a name in the industry for the guy that buys obsolete crap, what they consider crap. So then I would have distributors and manufacturers calling me saying, hey, do you want to buy this stuff? And I'm like, well, okay, send me a list. So I like Betson, I bought all their obsolete inventory. Of course, most people know Sega, when they shut down their USA operations. They're now called Plate Amusements, but they're no longer Sega USA. So I bought like 20 pallets of parts from them.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Yeah, and just other distributors over the years. So
all because you started operating games in high school.
Yeah. Well,
that's also, what I'm gonna go with.
I was a big play. Video games are my life. I mean, probably like you guys, arcade games are my life back in the 80s. I grew. I'm 50, almost 51. So I was 12 years old in 1980. Which is
I have no nostalgia for the 80s. I don't know what you're talking about. As I'm wearing a Rick Astley T-shirt.
So I mean, that was I was on the well, back in the day, I was ranked like 9th in California as far as player ability, and like 27th in the U.S. I would do contests, and I mean, I would drive, or I didn't drive, but I would either my mom would drive me or the arcade. See, we were good publicity too, because me and my other buddy were really good at games, so we always got free token. We never paid for tokens. They would give us shirts like to wear around town or at school with their arcade on the back. So it was great. It was a good time. I couldn't ask for anything better back in those days.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's basically. So I've been doing the part stuff for officially since 2006. I've been fully self-employed since 1997, and this is all I do.
Living the dream.
Yeah, right, living the arcade dream.
You want anything NOS? You got it.
Oh, so now I can. Now this would be a good time for me to ask my question that I before I mentioned it before the show. So, how do you price things? Like, you got to have a system, I'm sure, but what would be an example? Like, like a pivot ball for like an Atari joystick that nowadays I suppose some people are 3D printing stuff, but for the most part, I mean, it's kind of a niche market, especially stuff that's new old stock. Like, how do you come up with the price? I mean, I'm sure it's second nature to you now, but like, maybe that's a better question. Did you have trouble early on, or like?
Oh yeah, I had all I knew was what I paid for everything. So like, if I spent $10,000 on, let's say, 1,000 parts, so I knew every part was, what is that, 10 cents a piece, or whatever it works out to. So I would base my pricing. It's like, okay, well, I paid 10 cents for this, so I'll charge $3 for it. Before I was pricing everything too low because people were just buying it, and I'm like, it's like, oh shit. I don't want to, because see, back then I was also using parts for my own game, so I didn't want to.
Sure. You don't want to sell out right away.
Yeah, exactly. But as far as my pricing structure, like, I don't know if you guys have been on my site, you notice I don't have like $5.95 or $6.95 or $39. I don't have anything in 90 or very little 95s. Mm-hmm. Everything's just like a weird number. That is because back in the day when you had to go to a distributor to buy a part, nothing was $5.95. It was always $5.67 because they had a pricing structure. So that's like that's just like fun. For me, for nostalgic reasons, where I just price my stuff at a distributor pricing.
So if we buy 100 of something, awesome. We get a little bit of a deal, like on Mauser.
If people ask, I usually give a 10% discount off the top, but you have to ask. I don't advertise it.
What's the good guy discount?
What's the part that you thought like, oh, people are gonna want these? I've got 2,000 of these, and man, I can't sell one of these things. Like, you thought, all right, these people are gonna be interested in this. Is there something like that? You're like, wow, nobody wants any of these, and I have a shitload of them.
Yeah, well, I just did a buyout because like when Play It wants to get rid of their old stock, which they don't have much left, they just call me or she emails me a list. So the last batch I got a few months ago, I got all these fiber optic cables for Sega driving games. I mean, I've got like 1,000 of them. It's insane, and it's like, what? So I put a post out. It's like, okay, $10 a piece, and I put them on eBay. Whatever it was, like eBay. Since all their fees, I put a little bit higher, so like $15 a piece. Well, nobody was buying this shit, so I'd like, $5. I just want to get rid of this shit. So I've sold some parts, but that's one part that I'll die with pretty much every part or every piece. I have all these bulbs for the sports arena, Sammy Sports Arena. Where you have to stop it on the red light.
Yeah.
So because Sega and Sammy or Sega distributed Sammy product here in the States. So I have thousands of these bulbs that I'm never ever going to sell. So crap like that.
How about the biggest surprise where you thought, oh, no one's gonna like, wow, there's a market? Is there something that comes to mind where like you didn't think, I don't know, and then all of a sudden like, whoa, people really want this? Anything like that where you didn't think like, I'll take a chance on it, or you're buying in such quantity.
Well, I buy in bulk, so I always know there's going to be crap that I will never ever sell, but that's just part of the game. You know, it's the diamonds that pay for everything.
What's the biggest diamond? What's the biggest diamond? Like, whoa, these are in demand. I didn't think about it when I bought this whole thing. I just threw it on. All of a sudden, I've got all these PMs. Like, you got another one? You got another one?
Well, see, the in demand parts are the common stuff. You know, like the Atari pivot balls and stuff for the logo joysticks. Those are always in demand.
I got an Atari pivot ball from you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
We didn't think to ask for the 10% discount.
We will now, as will the 15 people that watch the show.
That's right. As our numbers increase exponentially. Yeah.
But as far as like, I think the rarest thing that I had, it wasn't NOS, but it was from a local op that I would buy. You know, when he moved from one place to another, I got all his old crap from the 80s. And the 70s. So I had the only known existence of the Scramble marquee by Vector Beam. Very rare. There's only like one known, and I had the Scramble by Vector Beam.
Oh, you got a photo?
Not here. But,
someone look it up. Yeah.
But I came across actually the board, the monitor, and it used a special XY monitor, black and white, and I had the marquee and then the plexi that goes over the button so you could select what game you want. Yeah. And this is a little brag, but I sold the marquee, just the marquee. Well, I had the marquee and the other plexi piece. You guys want to take a guess how much I sold those two pieces for?
1,000.
No.
More?
Oh yeah.
More? Wow.
What? No.
Only guy that had it. There's no other one. It was thought to be
$5,000.
No, two.
1 million. Oh, sorry.
All right, there we go. Can you present me there,
I've
Andrew?
never seen that before. Okay.
Yeah, they thought that the one in the flyer here was the only. That's the one I probably ended up with. I didn't have the guy, obviously smashed the game, but I had the bottom marquee.
Well, look at that side art.
Yeah.
And then
that's like a mirror game, right? You're bouncing it off the mirrors.
I don't. I never. I know they got the board working.
Huh.
I don't know if they built a cabinet or not, but I've never played it. But yeah, there. See those pictures of on the chair. Those two pieces that are sitting on the chair. Those are mine.
Where?
So that's
top.
The very top row.
2 over to the right, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, that.
I see.
Fireworks.
Click the one to the right.
So they were $1,000 a piece. Is that what it was?
Yeah, pretty much.
That is insane.
That is insane.
Just think how easy someone would vectorize something like that now.
It was the only one known to exist.
Wow.
And it went to a big private collector in Los Angeles. So it's
what year was this? Do you remember? Approximately.
Would that be Macklemore from Cloth?
No. We're not here. I think that was like 76 or 77.
Oh, I'm sorry. What year did you sell that?
Oh, this would have been late 90s.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So
or maybe, late 90s.
So it's currently 2019. Is that still the only one ever sold?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Huh. Yeah.
Lots of walls.
And then as far as just back in the early 80s, Williams made like a tabletop. It's not a pinball, but it's almost like a pinball machine. But they had I don't know, it was probably like 2 feet tall or 2.5 feet tall, and they had these overlays. One was called Willie at Bat, which was like a baseball theme. Then there was Willie's Cup, which was soccer. And there was a poker one and
Willie's Poker. I'm sorry.
That was bound to happen sooner or later.
But that was only a prototype. But when I bought, C.A. Robinson was the big mom and pop game distributor in Los Angeles. They opened up in like 1937 and they shut down in 2010. So when they shut down, Dave, the parts manager, called me saying, "Hey, I'm going to sell you. We're getting rid of some parts." I'm like, "Okay." And this is before I found out they were actually shutting down. He goes, "Can you come down tomorrow?" I'm like, "Okay, sure." Well, later that day, I found out that they decided to shut down the whole place, and it's like, wow, that sucks. Because like going to see Robinson was like going to Disneyland for us arcade nerds. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, since C. Robinson was based in LA, and the guy that founded C. Robinson, he knew all. He's been in the coin op business, for decades. So he knew all the industry guys, all the CEOs of all the manufacturers. So they would get a lot of prototype stuff to test. Well, when I bought the parts department, they had like 3 sets of these overlays that went on the play field, and they're prototypes. So I have like 3 sets of these prototype plexi playfield thingies that's probably like my rarest NOS thing.
What is
these playfield overlays, plastic things? Yeah. Wow. But also in like when I bought their parts, I had a couple of blaster joystick assemblies.
Let's get it straight. Everything from your damn site is rare because you are the NOS king.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm happy with what I have.
I can't imagine we all know the amount of people out there that are so keen on their 720 that they have to buy all NOS stuff and they end up spending like $1,000 to rebuild a joystick. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah. See, and that's another thing is I think I told you guys before that most of my parts I have literally like 3-4 of each piece, and then once they're gone, that's it. Unless I find another bulk buy with those parts, they're never going to be, or at least for me, they won't be available.
Yeah, I picked up the weirdest thing from you. It was that for baseball. It was like,
did you need some sort of antibiotics for it?
That was a good one, Carrie. Good one.
Bump. Wait, I got here. Wait.
Perfect.
You okay there, Carrie?
Yeah. The dog decided to
it's that time of the month.
The dog's taking over.
It's all black and furry.
Give me the mic. I'm taking over.
Sorry, I interrupted. So
that's fine.
Picked up the weirdest thing from.
No, it was just I picked up. It was a little memory card that you use for the baseball games. They're impossible.
Oh yeah, the double plays.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I told you guys that the first Donkey Kong ornament that Steve sent me transformed into a Neo Geo memory card. That was funny.
Yeah, and your ornament went to a guy in Mexico that bought that Neo Geo card.
Oh,
so I had
Mexico.
I actually, a lot of my customers are in the UK because they can't get this stuff.
The UK? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I ship to the UK, probably 2 or 3 times a week.
So you have to fill out all that customs crap when I just shipped something to France. It was
awful, isn't it?
Oh my God! It was like I should have charged more for me waiting in line to fill this shit out.
Well, I do everything online. But see,
they're making RAM control jokes in the IRC.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's a whole other can of worms for another night.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I ship out a few dozen packages a week, so I'm used to filling out forms and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, I was just waiting in line at Christmas at post office for this stupid $35 Ramtech Pong clone PCBs that were probably broken that some guy from France wanted. I'm like, I didn't charge enough. I'm standing in line here, like, why am I doing this?
I had to send out those.
I was so mad,
Dave. I'm with you. I had to send out those stickers to Australia, which cost me $15 just and waiting in line on top of that. So I hear you. It's awful.
I brought it in, and it was just a nightmare. But now I know.
Your pinball stuff, Steve.
Yeah, the pinball decals.
Okay.
For Monster Bash.
I forget that there's 2 Steves in here now.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, man.
You can call me Milestar. That's fine.
Milestar, yeah.
So Steve slash Milestar. You just call me Mock. That's fine. Hey, do you still have any arcade game like actual machines at home?
I do. I have Reactor here in the living room. I moved from California to Santa Fe, New Mexico. So back in California, I have a few games. I have a couple of Star Wars Uprights, the Star Wars Cockpit, a couple of Tempest, Neo Geo Tallboy.
Are these just all in storage right now?
Yeah, they're my friend's storage. Okay. And I have Williams Indiana Jones pin.
Ooh, nice.
And a Whirlwind pin.
That's fun.
Yeah, when I started operating back in the 80s, I went from being, a player into the business aspect of the coin op business. So I don't really play. I mean, I in the 80s I still played, in the 90s, but today I don't. Even when I go to do a show where I have my booth, set up, I never have time to play games.
Bummer. You got to come out to Grinkers.
Yeah, I know. I think that's only about a 10-hour drive, 12-hour drive from here. So it's not too bad.
12 hours from Denver.
So, yeah, I could probably do that.
You should. That was going to be one of my questions. Is have you?
Because then you'll have to play games. There's no spot to set up a booth there.
So you have heard of Grinkers and you've
of course
thought about going. Okay, yeah. I've been trying to talk Damon into going. He goes, God, I want to go do that, but he's got to talk Melanie into going and stuff. So it's like,
I really want to go to Fun Spot. That's like on my bucket.
Oh, might be doing that.
You could join us this spring.
Yes. Yeah. Listen to next week. I have just about everything wrapped up with NASWA, but
nice.
Definitely keep the dates we talked. I don't know if we talked about that on or off here, but keep dates in May open.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I have some shows to do in May. So ZapCon is the first weekend of May, and then Denver show is the end of May.
You'll be good. It's
you don't like being home anyway.
Lynn's got you covered. Yeah, you already penciled you in. Yeah, exactly. You're going.
All right,
everybody buy a bunch of parts so I can buy a plane ticket.
Pivot balls. I'll take Tam.
Yeah, Tam. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's usually special rates on hotels for Grinkers too. So if you think about going to do that, Steve usually gets a block of rooms and stuff for the event. So yeah,
I'm trying to do that for Brofest as well too.
And Brofest, sorry, Sneak Fest. Sneak Fest. What is it? 5
sneak
or
year? It'll be Sneak Year Fest.
With extra sneak.
So yeah, that'll be fun.
It would be.
Oh.
Nice.
So that's sort of my story. Unfortunately, when in California, I had like the first parts I bought. I went to Costco and I bought one of those. They're like the silver shelves. They have the wheels on them that you can push around and put all the parts on. So I started with one, and by the time I moved from California to here, I have like 45 of those racks.
Wow.
So I moved, and I had to, I used to work out of, I always work from home, but I used to work from home. And then I moved all my parts to like a little, like Crocker Locker type place. And then I had to get another one, and then another one. So, and then eventually I ended up getting a 3,000 square foot warehouse. And so I worked out of there for a few years. And here in Santa Fe, eventually what I want to do, because I bought 10 acres here. I wanted to build a building, but it's too much of a hassle. So I have cargo containers to store everything. So it's not as organized as it was in California. That's why part numbers. Give me a part number.
Nice. Now with those part numbers, if someone sends you a part number and you don't know off the top of your head if you have it, are you basically just walking through all of your cargo, your containers?
No, I have binders with all my hard copies.
Okay.
I just looked through that.
Nice.
But most parts I know, because whenever I get parts in, even if I don't put them in bins and I keep them in the big boxes, I pull out each bag and I check off, I do inventory, and then I make a mental note of what I have. So if somebody needs something, I usually say, I have that, but I got to double check. So,
right.
Yeah, I sort of have it all up here.
So, Stephen, Chris Gack or Gack Attack on Clav, he texted me. He has a question for you. He couldn't be here tonight, but he does have a question for you. And if you don't, he said, if you don't feel like answering it, you don't have to. But
set it up.
Here we go. I got to set that up first. Yeah,
this is got to be an interesting question.
Okay,
I can't wait.
It's sort of a
boxers or briefs. Yeah.
Such a build-up. I'm excited.
Butter or margarine do you like? Not just joking. Okay, so he said, how much is the most amount of money you've ever spent on a big warehouse buy or on a game? Either or?
Oh wait,
the suspense is terrible. I hope it'll last.
The most I spent in one in one shot is like 17 grand.
Ooh,
that's a lot of money.
Is that
yes,
you alone or with a group?
Oh no, that's just me.
Wow.
For a big warehouse buy, like a
distributor buyout.
Was that something like that? There was like just a couple of games you just had to have in that group, or was it like a whole bunch in there? You're like, or is it just for parts?
No, that's just parts.
Oh, okay. Wow.
No, the most I've ever paid for a game. Well, back in the day, Mortal Kombat was $42.95, so that was pretty pricey. But I operated, so it didn't really make it. Wasn't a big deal. Back then.
Oh man, like that game would have paid for. Yeah, I can imagine how quickly you'd get your money back on something like that.
What was that? Mortal Kombat 2?
Yeah, actually, that was a dud game for me. I mean, it did good for like 6 weeks, and then it dropped off.
What year was that? 91? 2?
Yeah, it was early 90s.
Okay, so let's run it through the bot. $42.95 to today's money is $7,800.
Yeah, that was a lot of money.
That's a chunk of change.
Hey, Steve, I don't know if you said how many weeks were you bringing in 300 from Gauntlet? Like how many? Like when did that teeter off?
Well,
what do you think you brought in? Any idea?
I have that ledger still somewhere.
Oh, you got a ledger.
That's awesome.
Is it a composition notebook? Black in pencil?
Yeah. Yep. But we upgraded it to a Gauntlet 2 when that kit came out. That kit was like $795 when it came out. But that was probably like 18 months.
You had 18 months of 300 hours a month?
At least, yeah. It was insane.
Wow. Yeah, well, I remember, I mean, I'm 40, it's going to be 47, but I was it was as 85, did you say Gauntlet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still going, and I'm like, I played a little bit, but man, that was jammed. Everybody was playing Gauntlet.
Yep.
It was crazy.
For me, it was the Konami games like Turtles. That was the Turtles arcade game. Holy fuck!
Yeah, I bought one of those when they came out. That I put in a street location because the arcade owner sold the arcade. It didn't do too well. That was like $29.95. It didn't do too well. I bought a Simpsons video when they first came out. That was another $3,000 for that.
Which one did better, Turtles or Simpsons?
Good question.
I'm good for one.
Now that I think about it, I remember like the first week. This was at a liquor store, like the liquor store I used to work at. I still had games in there after I quit. But I remember the first week I put it in there, did like $317, which for a street location was really, really good. Nice. Normally games on a street location would do back in those days, $100, $125 for a good game, but average is like $50. But it just died down after.
That's before you split it.
Probably.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you hear about Stephen, those those crummy arcade 1-up cabinets that are selling? So I don't know if you heard about this, but the version of Gauntlet for that they didn't even test the game how far you can get it because it's got a bug where you can't get past the 24th level. It just crashes.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I did notice that my local Walmart is selling them now for $229.
Yeah, they've been dropping and stuff lately. So
yeah, I think I played. you know, they had a demo unit. I think I played the Centipede and a Street Fighter that they had on demo. You know, it was cool, but it's like I'm not gonna buy one.
There's one YouTube video I've been meaning to watch, and the caption, the title is all at Street Fighter 1-up or Arcade 1-up after three months of owning still worth it or whatever, and just based on the title, I'm like, I gotta click on this because it's got to be something like you know, this broke or I had to replace that. It sounds like a very entertaining video. I've been meaning to watch.
Chris has one more question. I thought you answered this already, though. Where did you meet Damon? Where was that at?
It was at the men's room at some park.
He's jumping around.
He really became best friends.
This is a kid's show.
It was in detention at Shermer High School. Yeah.
Well, I met him. Like I said, I put an ad in the local ad magazine.
Personals to the classified.
Yeah, personals.
Yeah. MFM.
Yeah, yeah, for Battlezone, and he answered the ad, and you know, we started talking, and you know,
so it's just over the phone at first and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and,
okay.
yeah. And then once he found out that I operated and stuff, I used to do my own conversions, so he wanted to learn how to do that. So you know, we became better friends, and he would come over, and I would show him how to do a conversion, and we would shoot the
Turn
shit.
Donkey Kong into a Street Fighter. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. You guys
turn Dragon's Lair into that bowling game.
Yeah. If you guys known the games that I've scrapped out and converted over the years, it would just make me sick.
But you're also a capitalist. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, back then it was about making money.
Yeah.
And I had an Azterac that ended up in the dumpster because Azteracs didn't make money.
No wonder I haven't heard of that game.
Yeah, I converted one of my Three Stooges to a Rastan because Rastan made much more money than Three Stooges.
Ooh, you got a Rastan lover.
Andrew loves you.
Yeah.
I put a lot of quarters into Rastan.
Andrew's a potential world record holder for that game.
Well, think of how many Arkanoid conversions there were. That was a
Phoenix was very famous for being converted to Arkanoid. Yeah.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was a fun time back then. Let me tell you, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Any game you ever sold that you wish you didn't sell, like you wouldn't mind it being behind you covered in dust?
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe the Azterac that went to the fucking dumpster.
Well, yeah, but maybe he had a personal connection with some
what the
game.
hell?
Like, man, I could still
look that up.
Well,
I could still have like, oh, I really like that. Like, I wouldn't mind looking at that in the background, even if you don't play it.
Yeah, I always regret like selling my tap. I've had obviously many tappers over the years, but whenever I would sell a tapper, it's like. But I get probably the one I regret the most is my Bubbles prototype wood cabinet.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah, so I sold that. You know, when we decided to move to New Mexico, I just pretty much got rid of all my games. So I had a Bubbles wood prototype with, and the main difference between production and proto was proto you can't push the brushes and sponges down the drain. It just wasn't a feature, and also the on the monitor glass, the bubbles that are on the glass are they're not filled in. Production, they fill them in with white, so they're more pronounced. So that's how you tell pretty much a prototype from production. So
I've seen so many prototypes that you know I don't know what a regular production one looks like. Yeah.
Well, production you can smush the sponges and the brushes in the drain and get 2,000 points apiece, and then the bubbles are.
That is a cool game.
I have to say, I never knew that.
Yeah, well, it's very nerdy. It's a nerd thing. You're not nerdy enough.
No, not nerdy enough. No, I was just trying to clean the stuff, and I never thought to try to push them down the drain. Now I know. And knowing it's happening.
And knowing, yes. Yeah. It's funny. Both those sounds are right next to each other. More you know, and then the G.I. Joe. So it's always a toss-up. Yeah. More you know is a little more subtle.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to drive out to Santa Fe, and help me go through parts. I pay in parts or pay with money.
Oh damn! What do I need?
You know, Jim, you would love that.
Far away.
You guys fly out here to Denver, and we'll road trip down there.
Ooh,
There you go.
That would be
It's
fun.
beautiful.
That would be a lot of fun. Stupid
We'll
day
just-
job, right?
I know.
It used to be like Europe, where we get like, don't they get like 6 weeks
Getting-
vacation or something?
Getting
like
fucking
that?
excited over a little round piece of plastic. Whoa!
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I believe it or not, I still get excited about like when I'm digging through stuff. It's like, wow, look at that! I didn't know I had that. I mean, I know I have it, but I haven't seen it in a few. Haven't seen it in a few years. So it's like it's like, wow, look at that.
So hang on, motor.
I have those. I think I used to have them. I might have sold out.
Carrie, what was the name of that game that you wanted? You were looking forever for, where there's like little spacemen walking 3/4 view on like sort of like a maze, and they shoot little monsters, and there's a big giant like lizard head in the background with his mouth would open and stuff. Do you remember that?
Oh, Inferno.
Yeah,
Inferno.
Yeah.
So have you seen one
Oh,
of those?
That's your grail.
I had one. I bought one of those when they first came out.
Okay.
That was in the arcade that I grew up. Yeah.
I just hardly ever seen one before.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty fun game.
Yeah,
It
it's
is,
a super
yeah.
fun game. Well, no, it's
It's
a shitty
fast,
game.
too.
Nobody should get it. Should buy one.
Yeah.
Let me know.
That uses the
$100
skinny
top.
joysticks, right? The skinny with
well,
the buttons on top.
It uses a regular Wicco and then the blaster style joystick. It's a two joystick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that one is a cool pig.
Thank you, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Class it up the show.
I need a
It's not a
cocktail.
show that Steve burps like 5 times.
I don't even have to look anymore. As soon as he heard
That's
the
only like
belch,
2.
I know it's him.
Yeah. Leo hasn't made much noise yet. A little bit, but not
I've been
much.
letting them go. I just have I've been.
I heard the undertone a little
Yeah.
earlier in the show. All right, I need
the
the
other cheek sneak.
Hey, air can only escape 2 ways, right? Or gas, I should say.
Yeah.
Wait, is Carrie in chat? I don't even see.
Yeah, I forgot I changed my name out of going back to the old.
What is your name?
I'm Billy Ray Gyrus.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
look at that.
Ray Gyrus.
I like it.
I went with this nostalgic name. I was talking about
Yep.
it earlier.
Sorry.
And I'm typing, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm incognito.
Your voice the whole time. All right, you got ops.
Woo!
It's flying by. There's 41 people in there. Holy
41? Yeah.
Wow.
One mofos. A lot of new people too. J-Rock's in there.
Yeah, do we have any questions from the chat?
Banana.
Did anybody
Yeah.
post this in Clav that we
Yeah,
had
any
a guest
questions
today?
for, Steve?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
good
Thanks.
job.
As soon as we went live, I did a claw. I've been doing it the past couple of weeks, so I figured, okay, why the
Yeah.
fuck not?
Yeah, thank you for
Somebody
doing
needs
that.
to do it. Thank you.
And I'll,
Oh yeah,
I will take on. I'll take it on.
You're our
All
PR
right.
guy now.
Yay!
For you in there. If you're in the IRC chat,
I just found it. I'm new to this, so I was like, oh, look at that. There's a chat.
there's a link. You don't need an IRC client. Just go to Arcade Hangout .irc/live, and you'll be right in there. Easy peasy. Or
Larry.
they're all saying hi to you in there.
Yeah, that's right. Now the pressure's on to get on
Oh
there.
my god, I think you're in there. It's funny. So Agra is Steve from Grinkers. If you guys didn't know, Agra.
Ah. Oh,
That's
good.
Steve from Grinkers. I don't know why he's changing his name. He won't let me change his name no more, so I gotta leave him alone.
Steven, Larry asks in
Oh.
chat, how did they film like the screens while you're trying to play the game on Starcade?
Yeah.
Do they
good
have like
question.
a guy over your shoulder? Like,
No,
Yeah, Jim should be here for that one because he could give them. a few
I'm here.
pointers. Yeah.
from what I recall, I remember when they would swap the games out between each episode because they film like 8 episodes a day. So I remember there was a guy in the back of the game hooking up stuff. So I think it may have been a direct feed maybe off the RGB
Well,
signal. But there was
so I'm wondering if, since back then, we've talked about the spectator monitors that sit above cabinets that like Midway had or whatever. I wonder if they used something similar to that to pull the direct feed.
Maybe
because those TVs, I'm convinced what makes them special is that they amplify the RGB signal. Just from my experiments, like I'm sure that they were designed they had amplifiers built in. Would be my guess. I'm theorizing, but
I don't. Damon might know the answer to that question better than I do.
Damn it, Damon, get on here. No.
Damon's next.
Damn
it. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, so good times.
Cool. Well, even we've talked about this too in movies that had games. Like look at Fast Times or what's the war games? Where they have what's the war movie?
It's a war one with the game.
Yeah.
It's like
Samsonite, Swanson.
Yeah. Swinny Swanson? Is it Swanson? Oh, here it is.
Samsonite.
I was way off.
Had to build up to it. But in those movies, though, you look at they were like spot on perfect. No wavy lines. But the thing is too, they're using film cameras, so you have a lot more manual adjustments with those, with changing the shutter speed, the shutter angle. So you could do a lot more to really lock in on those. You can overcrank, undercrank the camera to get it to match up just right. Whereas with video, it's close. Nowadays, it's very close, but it's still not quite the same.
Nashvillian. Is that right?
Clint.
AKA Clint.
Yeah.
Our resident ref for Grinkers. He liked to state that they used two cameras because, one was for the feed, but the second camera, they had a close up on the score. Because remember, they would post it in the corner larger. So you could see what the person's score was.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think legally they had issues with that too. They had to make sure it was exactly the minute long or whatever the seconds were. Yeah, to be legit, so they don't get in trouble by legal. But so, does anybody else in chat have a question? Anybody?
Tons of people in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in there today.
I'm probably going to be a sign-off minute too. Just want to say, as I kind of touched on earlier, I'll have a lot more information next week. But Sneak Fest, which is the old Brofest event, keep your calendars open May 16th or the 19th. I'll have
for what location? Where is that?
Sneakier than ever.
Exactly. That's going to be in Nassau, Laconia, New Hampshire. It's going to be at the Fun Spot Museum, the old AKM Museum.
By the time it's over, you won't even know what happened.
Is it still the biggest arcade in the world?
It's the largest arcade in the world. It's been called the Louvre of the 8-bit world by the Boston Globe. Absolutely. So
why does it? Oh, we can talk about that off air.
But yeah, love to see people there. Like I said, I'll be posting in Clav with all the official information, and I'll be talking about it in the upcoming weeks. But just wanted to say that out there. It's getting late East Coast time. I'll talk to y'all next week.
All right, Leo.
Thank you very much, Steve. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming.
Bye, Leo.
Ciao.
See you next week.
Ding bao day.
Say something, but
another one. Lots of dust. Okay.
I was going to post shit IRC so people knew about it too, but I'll get with them on Clav or otherwise.
So is this the time we start talking shit about people that leave?
Yeah. Absolutely. See, you're learning. You're learning.
I don't know you guys too well, so I can't talk shit about you. But
well, let's see. It's 11:30 here now. Normally we start at least half an hour late. We started a little more on time tonight, but that was a jam-packed arcade talk, and now that we've had time to let that soak in, I think. For me, at least, I'm feeling the effects of my vodka now.
On that note, I'll be back in 1 second.
Well, see you later. No,
we need the slide whistle.
I had one. Nice. There
you go.
I had one drink, and my tolerance is such shit right now. and it was a light one, and I'm already feeling it. Yeah. It's probably because like I'm not as engaged.
I got a question for Steven. Does he have Forgotten Worlds controls, spinner controls?
No. I wish I did. My Capcom stuff is very it's
Sparse.
more it's more for newer like 90s and 2000 stuff.
Okay.
I don't have any I mean I have some artwork, not for Forgotten Worlds, but I have some 80s artwork from Capcom. Like
He's got bezels. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Yeah. Well, not for
Get all drooly for the
Forgotten,
Forgotten Worlds bezel.
I don't have any Capcom stuff, do I?
I don't have
Not
any
yet.
I don't know.
Anybody else have any other questions or anything?
No, let's talk some bullshit now.
well, Milestar, you're certainly welcome to just chill with us. I mean, this is where we just kind of normally we've already went off the rails, so this is like a record.
This is like best behavior right now.
This is
I got one last
Maybe
question.
that explains why we have people in the IRC.
We're behaving ourselves.
Yeah, okay, go.
Yeah.
I have one for Milestar. It's a weird one. When was the last time you purchased an arcade game?
Nice
a game?
Yeah.
You mean for just to keep or to like resell?
To keep, flip. I don't care. You can flip it.
I bought. Well, I traded. See, the good thing about being a tech is I could trade my services as a tech for games.
You got more leeway than us, yeah.
Yeah. So before I left California, which was a couple of years ago, I got I think I got like 8 games. 8 from a small op that we used to do work for. I got like The Simpsons. There was a Primal Rage and Raidens. It's like just filler, what we call filler games. They're made to fill a spot.
Okay, nothing personal for yourself though, huh?
No, I haven't bought a game for myself in quite a while.
Do you have family that enjoys your business / hobby /
Well, I have a little girl. She's 6. Unfortunately, I mean, like when we go to like Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, that's right, because both of you were sick the other week, for a while actually.
Yeah, I mean, she likes to play the obviously the redemption stuff, and she likes to drive like the new motorcycle games and the driving games with the big the raw thrills.
I have a 6-year-old too, Steve, and my son was just playing one of those. It was yellow. I can't remember. He loved it the other day.
Yeah,
motorcycle.
But I had a multicade here for a while, and like during her birthday, I turned it on, and the kids would play it. But in general, she doesn't. I mean, but she knows who Pac-Man is, who Donkey Kong is. She knows all the character names, which is for Dad. That's really nice. But she doesn't really play, which sort of sucks. But yeah, it is what it is.
So I apologize if you covered this already, but did you ever get into parts, redemption stuff? Did you dabble into that?
Well, I get some in bulk buys, but I don't list. They just sort of pile up in a box.
Okay.
I have a lot of like Sega redemption stuff, like the Crazy Taxi redemption, and there's a Sonic redemption game.
Okay.
And one called Game Show that Sega made. I have a lot of NOS stuff for that, but there's no demand for it.
I'm trying to think. Other than Skee Ball, the only redemption thing that I always thought was really cool was Golly Ghost, I think is what it's called. We've talked about this on the show a long time ago.
But
it's a shooting game that's got like a molded it's like a haunted house that you're looking at, and it's EM in the sense that the doors and everything open up, but then there's projected ghosts and stuff that fly around, and you're trying to shoot those with your light gun. And it's a redemption game because it does end up spinning out tickets, but it is so freaking cool because it's like you're looking at you're looking at a 3-dimensional thing that's EM, but then you've got like a projection going over it. And this was like it was early 90s because I would have been 6th or 7th grade, I think. And when I was still in band, I was in band for 3-4 years, and for our party we went to at that time, what was it, the zoo? It was originally a Chuck E. Cheese, then they rebranded to the zoo, then they rebranded to Rock City Pizza, and they had one of those there. It was a 2-player game that you sat down, and you can find pictures of it online. I think there's even video on YouTube, and it was really cool. It was pretty darn neat. But I'm sure that machine takes up a lot of space, and I've never come across one. So
yeah, I think it was like a reflection. Wasn't it reflection effects or like
kind of like a half
Asteroids Deluxe?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember, on a side note, I went to the so one of the big things of being in the business is going to the trade shows every year that they had in Vegas. Or actually, back then they had them they had the summer show or the spring show and then the winter show for the new equipment. Now it's only one time a year, but I was at that show when Golly Ghost was released, and I remember they at the booth they gave away these little lapel pins with the characters on them. So I have some of those somewhere.
Wow, sweet.
Wow.
I was excited that someone had a YouTube video. It was like a camera pointed at it. I think, and then there are pictures of the cabinet, but there's not a lot of info. Last time I checked, those out there.
It didn't do well, so it didn't get wide release.
Yeah, so cool though. What a neat concept, and it was really neat. It was a short game, but I thought it was really cool. It was like if you took a bi-level house and you just cut it right down the middle so you could see inside, and so you'd have like a room, and so like the bathroom, like a toilet lid seat would flip open and a ghost would fly out, and it's kind of like Ghostbusters. It was neat. Yeah.
I'll provide a link. There's a YouTube video of it if you guys want to check it out. It shows like the things animating and everything. It was a pretty cool game. Terrible title though.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's funny that you say that because I agree, Steve, Mock, because because I couldn't remember the title of it, and so for like I gotta say, like a couple years I was Googling and looking, and I couldn't find, because there's not a lot of information even if you know the title, and I couldn't find anything. I'm like, well, maybe it was a figment of my imagination or something, and finally, I don't know if it was Clav or what, I stumbled across it, or maybe I got the right description in Google where I was like, golly, maybe that's it, and found it. So that's the only reason why I can kind of recall the name, because it was so hard I couldn't think of the name for so long.
Yeah, it makes it hard to find.
Well,
why they just call it like Haunted House or
Well, I think in Japan it was named something else. So when it came over here,
Boonga Boonga.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, do you have a Boonga Boonga? Helicopter Jesus wants to know.
That guy is determined. I thought he was
flew
kidding
somewhere to look for it.
I thought he was kidding when he's like, "Yeah, I've been to Hong Kong and Japan," and I'm like,
"I'm going to Korea, maybe North Korea. I'm finding it."
But yeah, he's like, in Japan, they're like, no, that wasn't really popular here, but in Korea or something. Yeah.
So he flew to Korea.
Yeah.
And then he's never heard from again because he like jumps the border and goes to North Korea and
gets captured. Excuse, please. I'm looking for this game where you take a prosthetic finger and put in a fake butt. Can you point me in the direction,
so to speak?
Nice.
Yeah, Steven, you've never seen one of those in the wild ever, right?
I personally no. I've seen the videos and the pictures, but
yeah.
One of my other bucket list things is to go to Japan to the arcade district.
Oh, the multi-level arcades.
Yeah,
those are cool. I know.
Yeah, Akibara, whatever it's called, Akibara.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would love to play some of those some Street Fighter with some of those guys. and get my ass kicked.
Those places are deceiving because it looks like it's just a redemption place, but then you walk in and then there's escalators that go up like 2 or 3 levels. Yeah, and there's like one level that's all fighters, another level that's all shooters, another level it's all retro games from the 80s. You know, it's like it's crazy shit over there. You know?
Shit, who's well?
They never had an arcade reception.
I need to keep up on the fucking IRC. Wally is like talking about Golly goes. Oh, well, shit, Wally. What am I gonna do with the PCB though? That game is like all about the EM stuff. You have a cabinet to go with it.
So Jim, on my MAME cabinet, I can play Golly Ghost. It actually shows It has animation of the doors opening and closing. They actually redid the background for it and animated.
All right.
So you can actually use the light gun. You can use the light gun and shoot the gun. It's exactly the game. I'm telling you.
All right. We'll play it on one condition. You have to make some lemon drops.
Oh yeah.
And you got to make pancake shots.
It's a deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Milestar. Have you? Do you drink? Well, obviously you had the Bacardi or whatever.
I do. I drink. Yeah, like something like this, I would drink, but I don't drink every day.
Okay.
I do meth.
You're healthy.
Yeah, I do meth.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's different. Yeah.
And,
have you ever had a pancake shot?
No, but I've eaten many pancakes in my life.
Okay, well, then this is just right up your alley. No,
and both are delicious.
It's very tasty. Yeah. So a pancake shot is basically it's 2 shots. One's a chaser and then one's the alcohol. So the first part is butter shots and an Irish whiskey like Jameson. And so, which is good by itself. So you take that, and then the second shot is just orange juice. And so you chase it with orange juice. And as crazy as it is, it tastes like a pancake. Like you just, it's really freaking good. So if you make it out to Grinkers, or hey, if you make it out to Fun Spot when we're there, we'll introduce you to them.
Yeah, back in my drinking days, like in my 20s, kamikaze. I love kamikaze.
Oh,
I would get so shit faced on those things. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Nice.
I would slam like 5 or 6, unless just bam, 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 and I would go for the instant buzz, and then I would stop and just mellow out the rest of the night. But
that's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
very tasty and delicious.
Yeah.
My dad told me that on his honeymoon with my mother, that she had 2 kamikazes, and they did not consummate the relationship because she was too passed out.
Oh.
I could have said something there, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Good call. Good call. Well, he's going to send you that PCB if you need it.
I like what Wally said. Wally, when Jim goes, I don't want a PCB. What am I going to do with the PCB? He's like, damn it, I got to get rid of this thing.
Nice.
If you have a cab for it, I'll send it to you. Yeah. If I had a cab for that game, holy balls! That game would be like in a museum or something. Yeah.
I had a PCB back, like 7-8 years ago, and they're very hard to get rid of. I think I sold it for like $50.
Well, how do you end up with just a PCB? Like, do the cabinets just get trashed? Like for a game that doesn't sound like too many were made,
Well, see, like all this, like when I would get PCBs and I would get those from the local op. He was a big operator. He operated like 1,000 games. So but back in those days, in the 80s or 70s, 80s, and 90s, you broke down the game and he kept all the parts, which was good for me.
I gotcha.
I got a good little stash of stuff, but yeah.
Oh yeah, you trash. I suppose. Yeah, you get rid of it, and then you're like, well, I'll hang on to this. Yeah.
You keep the boards for parts or whatever. So.
I wonder if that game used. What it used? Did it use a monitor and like a half silvered mirror then?
I don't know. I've never seen the innards. I know it's a JAMA game, and when I test it, it would.
Oh, it is.
Okay. It needed to go like you needed to use a gun to go to the next level when at first power up or something, or needed to detect something to go to boot into game mode. So I could never test actual game mode, but it did come up with.
God, I wish I could go back in time, or I wish someone had. Don't you kind of wish, like, man, where's Joe Schmo with their VHS-C camcorder recording all this stuff? Because I need to look at this a little more closely.
Wait, was the VHS-C those weird tapes?
The little ones that you need the adapter to go to a regular.
That's so weird that you even said that. I forgot about those.
Yeah, buddy of mine. Well, before I got into filmmaking when I was like 10, 11, 12 years old, and unfortunately Carrie's seen a lot of these videos that me and my friends made when we were kids, and we had no editing gear and stuff, and trying to make like vampire movies and whatnot. And that's what he had, was one of those VHS-Cs. He also, and then we were playing it back on his parents. They probably still have that VCR. It's one of those old school ones with the top load, top load, and it's got the remote, the corded remote to go.
Oh God, yeah, I remember that.
But the thing is, that thing never broke.
No,
those were built to fucking last.
Workhorse.
Yeah.
I still have a working 8-track player downstairs.
You listen to your Three Dog Night,
little John Denver,
Rocky Mountain High.
8-track in there somewhere.
Some REO Speedwagon. I had that on fucking 8-track. My first car had an 8-track player.
Did it really?
True story.
Nice.
Yeah,
never had a friend.
My second car had an 8-track. My Datsun 240Z.
Nice.
That's some big tapes. I remember my grandpa had one. He had like those 8-track tapes scattered all over the car. It's like, where's the Doobie Brothers? I don't hear somewhere.
Oh my God! I grew up with my dad would listen to the Carpenters, "Close to You" on 8-track. That was a big part of my childhood.
So what year was the 8-track like in vogue?
Every freaking word.
Like 70s. What year? 70 what though? Because I have cassettes from 72. My father, because I'm born in 72 or 73. When I was 1, my dad had a cassette Panasonic recorded. So what year was the 8-track?
Well, so my first car was a 76.
So it was a very limited time. That's why 8-tracks are so crazy.
I remember going through my at my grandpa's cabin. It's funny. I can actually kind of chart his technological advancements, because in this cabinet, so he's always had his sound system in the same spot, now it's a CD player or whatever, but it started out, it was a turntable, and I remember going through the cabinet looking at his records, and then a few years later, and he's always like a generation behind, and so like a few years later, I remember as a kid he had 8-tracks, and I'm like, what the fuck are these? They're not Atari games, but they're supposed to be music. They're not cassettes, because obviously cassettes were out, and so I didn't know exactly what those were. But I remember going through all of his 8-tracks, and then it became cassettes, and now it's it's CDs, and I don't even bother explaining the concept of MP3s. But it's like he's 88 years old, so it's like. Yeah.
Was it 8-track like beta? Like it was such a small window where you.
I think 8-track was much more popular than beta.
Oh yeah, and so my 240Z was a 72, if I recall correctly. So no, it was. I think they went strong for a while.
Yeah.
Like you still see people with like cases of them.
Yeah, 8-track came out in 1965.
Do you guys remember the 8-track player that looked like a TNT like thing, the plunger? It had a big speaker in the middle of it, but it had like a plunger, and when you went, ugh, it would change the track. You know how you could change it?
Yeah, we hear the
Wow.
It would do that like in the middle of songs too.
Yeah, like because it ran out of room.
And it was like impossible to figure out how to fast forward or rewind.
Yeah.
You had to play it until you got to a certain point.
Yeah.
You knew if you flipped it, it'd be on your favorite song.
It's funny, as a kid, people would say 8-track, and I was like, 8-track, like the letter A. I'm like, what does that mean? I know there's a side A and a side B to a cassette. Yeah.
It was designed by the Fonz.
Hey. Nice.
Here comes the one-liners.
Or a Canadian. Hey.
All
Steve
right,
Bart's
Larry.
feeling good.
Seabart was waiting. He's Larry. He was
That was
waiting
his
for
one
the
for the
moment.
night. Well,
Sorry.
better end on a high note. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, no, for my first car, they actually had the cassettes, like regular audio cassettes to 8-track adapters too, which is like a really long 8-track cassette, but you could put like a regular cassette in.
Holy crap.
That was the dope. Yeah,
I remember. I mean, well, I didn't have it. I remember seeing one. You know, like, what the hell is that?
Yeah. That's how I used to like. So I only had like 2 8-track tapes, neither of which I'd ever wanted to listen to. So yeah, so that's how I listened to music in my car, was with the adapter.
Holy shit!
And
I remember and then later on they did something similar. Because CD to cassette adapter, so you take a portable CD player and adapt it to a cassette into your
I have that in my bus.
Yeah. Nice.
Because I still have a regular.
Those were
deck.
mind blowing how they worked. And then I remember, oh good, you've got the anti-skip portable CD deck, so that as you're driving, it doesn't.
Yep.
Sony Discman.
So I put a picture in the IR. So there's 2 now because it wasn't working. But if you check that picture out, see, do you guys remember seeing that?
That one.
It looks like a detonator. Sounds like dynamite.
Oh, that's funny. I don't remember seeing that ever, but that's
what a great ad.
Cool looking though, right?
It is super cool looking.
Why did they make the track selectors so big? Like, what's the point of the giant
plunger?
Top, yeah.
Because there's just so much power.
It's just to be cool. Like, look at the big 3 on it.
Can you imagine the DJ? Who's up for the next track? Go,
so probably 3 is the current track that's playing.
Yeah. All the way up to 8.
Right.
Well, no, what a great host you'd be at a party. Who wants the next song?
Yeah.
I'm taking request.
And then some asshole just has to walk by and go, ha ha.
Sorry. That's on the 5th track. This is the 1st track. Hang on a second.
Yep, basically that's how it was.
If you shipped one like that today, you'd have the FBI at your front door. It looks like a
fucking Trump. Taxes, huh? No, I'm just kidding. No, I won't
Don't get me started. I just got my
P4. That's good.
What?
Anyway,
I like the bottom of that picture says Panasonic, just slightly ahead of our time.
Only slightly.
It's all relative.
That's funny.
It's so funny, the old technology like that we took, like nowadays with just MP3s or not even MP3s, just just streaming like Spotify. It's just like click, you're listening to a song, click, you're listening to a song. None of this track crap. Kids don't know how hard we had it.
I know, even just waiting through the rotary dials. How much of my life was lost because people had zeros in their numbers.
Yeah, start at 0.
My grandma's phone is rotary, and every year my godmother for my birthday would send me a card or whatever, and I'd pick it up at my grandma's house when we were there for the holidays, and it was kind of like, you have to call your godmother to thank her for the card, and if she left $5. Like $10 or $5 whatever, and it was a rotary phone, so that was the only time that I would consistently use a rotary phone. And yeah, it was the same thing. It's like, oh shit, I used the wrong god, start over.
Yeah.
It's funny. About a year ago, my little girl asked me, she goes, "Dad, when you were little, did they have cars?" I'm like, no, honey, they had horse and buggies.
Yeah.
She's so sweet and innocent.
10 miles uphill every. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, do you guys remember the pulse stylus too?
Yeah.
When you would,
which is basically a rotary phone.
A rotary phone, just yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Again, weird nostalgia on my end.
Awful times.
I think I attribute that to the fact that like my family was always like technologically behind in the neighborhood. Like we were, I was the last kid on the block to get a Nintendo, and I was rocking Atari. Everyone's got Nintendo, and I'm like, hey, let's go play Centipede on my Atari. It wasn't a 2600 then, and then people were, what the fuck, Super Mario Brothers, bro? What?
I miss the boom boxes, man. Those are like so much money now.
Yeah.
But here's one. How do you guys say? So for Super Mario Brothers, do you say Super Mario Bros or Super Mario Brothers?
Brothers.
I think say brothers.
Bros.
Now, if Brad was in the chat, he would say
Mario.
Super
Mario.
Mario.
Brothers.
He'd say Super Mario Bros.
Bros.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes I'll watch videos on YouTube for like the like I don't know, just like it's like the millennials call it Mario Bros. It's like
that's so wrong.
Yeah, it's like
Gino in the chat. Gino's like, Jim, you should upgrade your black and white TV. And I'm like, I'm working on it, Gino. I'm not made of money.
Hey, so Stephen, I have a reactor question for you. So, because I'm sorry, I missed the first part. You are a fan of Reactor, even though it is just now gathering dust.
Yeah.
So when you used to play it, what was your strategy? Were you like, did you get past the unprotected core? Of course.
Yeah. Oh, you got to remember, back in the day, back in the early 80s, video games were my life. That's all I did was play games. That's all I did.
All right, I was gonna get a drink, but now you've got my attention. How the
right? So, because one of the frustrations I will. So I just need a minute with this man, so y'all can just shut the fuck up for a minute. Because I love that.
Wow.
I know, right? Well, I love this game, and like, there's nothing like looking for videos, things like that. There's nothing. I don't normally seek out other people's strategies because it's like it's the art of discovery. It's the thrill of figuring out yourself and what works for you. But what frustrates me about reactors, I really want to practice more the unprotected core phase, but you have, but there, you can't, since you can't skip levels, and because I sit at a computer and type all day long, my wrists only last so long, so I can only play a couple of games before like my wrists ache. So it's like I can't sit there and go, I'm going to play this for a couple of hours. I can do it a couple times, and then it's like, shit, I'm done for the day. I got reactor wrist. So when you're in the unprotected core phase, like I've kind of gotten like sometimes like going, I can help stay out of it by going counterclockwise. Like, I mean, is this any of this bringing any bells? Do you have any words of wisdom for me?
Well, that's the trick, is to go counterclockwise through the vortex. And I think that's the third or the first invisible part, or the second, but the particles get so fat and they're really, really hard to hit into the wall. But my strategy was always I would fill up on decoys, in the bonus chambers. I would just rack up all decoys, and then once I got to the invisible vortex, I would use a lot of decoys as well.
Okay. Would you at all go into the little side chambers, or would you use the?
No, I use the trick where you put a decoy right into the bonus chamber, and then you keep your man blocking all the particles that are spinning.
Okay.
You take them in there because you can usually rack up. If you do it right, you can usually get a free man if you do it. I usually start that on the it would be the stage where the big particle comes out, and then when you hit it, it breaks into. That's when I usually do the bonus chamber strategy. I start there.
Okay. Yeah. I know you can rack up a lot of points there. And I have to say, overall, I've not generally tried to point press much. I've mostly just, because like my goal has just been able to get through it. Like I just want to get through the damn thing. But I can see where by point pressing, if you can get an extra man, then
and also you hit down the control rods as well to get your decoys.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I think that's how you get the decoys is from the control rods. Because I remember the prototype. It would give, if you got a bonus man, you would also get a bonus decoy. But that was changed.
Oh.
Right? And on a side note, I've actually met Tim Skelly. He actually signed. he played my reactor. He signed my
Karen's
manual.
got a boner. A woman boner.
A girl boner. Why are you guys disturbing the special moment between me and Steven?
Lady boner. Lady boner.
You know what? This is why Steven needs to come to Grinkers or to Fun Spot, because he could like he could play it and show us like how he does it.
Grinkers.
You know what? If I played right now, I could probably make it to the second Vortex if I started playing, you know, a game every day or two. But
we'll buy you beers. You'll be fine.
You'll get right back into the Vortex.
We'll buy you margaritas.
There you go.
I think
yeah, now you're talking.
the furthest I got was probably I got to maybe like the third core with Invisible Wall.
Okay.
That's probably as far, because you know Reactor is a very hard game. It's a very low scoring game too. You know.
Yeah. So because I've never like where I can get, you know, you go through all the ones with the protected core, and then I have made it several into with the unprotected core, but I've never, because I understand that then it goes back to a protected core, and you kind of go back and forth with the different waves, right?
It's been so long. I'm my mind's foggy, but I know, you know, I was back in the day. I was probably in the high 3s, the low 4s as far as scores. You know, 300,000 is to 400,000.
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. Yeah,
that's like 10 times my best.
Yeah, I think.
But see, back then, you know, Reactor was my game back in the day, so I played it all the time. And of course, when I bought it and had it at the house, I played it all the time.
Yeah.
You know? But it's a great game. I love it.
I love, and the music.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why you don't have it on free play, right?
Wait, hold on a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
I've got some, hold on a minute.
Here you go. Have a reactor board, Carrie. Yeah.
PCB for you, PCB for him.
Yeah.
And yes, I've seen the wiki strategy thing. I did go to that. And that was definitely that wiki.
Oh, okay.
And that was,
I figured
it out. Yeah, that was very helpful.
You ready for this?
Ooh.
This was personally given to me by Tim Skelly. And I don't know if you guys can see this or not.
The code for it. No way.
Oh, present.
The
Present.
ASM code?
Someone present that man.
And then he autographed. Let's see.
Oh, hold it up.
Wait,
Hold on.
okay, there we go. Now you're presented. Wow.
How many pages is that?
Well, no, there's four different little books that he. So one is there's 4. This one's really thick. This one is.
That's what she said.
Did that just say world's sloppiest penmanship?
Getting so this
double code to any game is almost impossible.
Yeah, this is the data file.
Wow.
Holy
this
shit.
one.
That is so cool.
This is the
Xerox. I was kidding.
macro assembler.
I'll give you $1,000 for that.
This one is the code, the actual code.
Do I get 10% off if I ask?
And this one is the Y reference. So I have this is there's only you guys know Proc from Claude, right? Brian.
Yeah.
Brian Jones. Well, back when he was making Screw Loose and a couple other prototype games, him and I and Skelly and David Thiel, all the Gottlieb guys we were all like in IRC talking to each other.
Yeah.
And so Brian has a copy and then I have a copy. So there's only 2 of these copies.
Is that ever going to be released for public?
I don't know. I mean, Tim sent me these years ago. This would probably be like 2000, 2001, I think, when he sent those. But
I'm just saying, if you guys go away in 100 years, maybe release it on the web.
Yeah, I don't have the capability to scan, but it's actually pretty cool. I mean, this is his, you know, he had all the copies of.
That's crazy awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
That is
awesome.
There's people on Club that could actually decode that using. Well, I'm sure that's not the entire game though. So.
Yeah. So like, here's the first. I don't know if you can see this or not, but. It's like for the character data to make the character.
Line 658. It's like holy shit.
Yeah.
How daunting of a project that.
DW is a data word, so. like data statements.
So this folder has 4,463 lines.
Are there any Easter eggs in there? Is there like a penis or something that they drew? Like,
yeah.
Those serious questions that we need
Well,
to
that's
know.
on line 3042.
Engineer these games and insert high score game kits and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it was funny because Damon and I, back when we had Blast from the Past, we did a booth in Las Vegas for the Classic Gaming Expo.
Oh yeah,
and Tim Skelly was a talk. He did a talk there, and I remember he came by the booth, and I was helping a customer, and I looked and I saw his name tag, and I literally like, holy shit, and I froze because I was like, this is like guy's like my hero, and I was back then I was 30 years old, and I'm like starstruck over a game programmer. So I was like stuttering, like
my God, Classic Gaming Expo.
I went fucking Porky for.
I went to the Classic Gaming Expo. I think the second or third one. That was back in the.
You thought I was going to say S.
All right, Jim. Jesus.
That's one of your sounds too.
I know, but Jesus, that's a long one. Okay, you remember? Steve, do you remember the Shane R. Monroe podcast? He used to always go to the Classic Gaming Expo, and he was a really big retro arcade guy. I don't know if you remember him. Yeah, he was cool.
With John Hardy? Was he there?
No. Oh, he had a partner, but he died while he was doing the show, unfortunately. I went the year that Don Bluth went, and they were promoting.
I was
remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We did like 4. We would take games there, and then we had a booth where we would just sell like crappy stuff that we had at the shop.
Oh wow, yeah, that was a fun show. But yeah, that was back in the. I don't. Do they still do that show?
No, John Hardy actually he lives in Texas now. He is there's a game museum in Dallas or outside of Dallas, and he's like the curator of this museum. So John Hardy was the main. I think him and 2 other guys were the main guys that did Classic Gaming Expo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I see him when I do the Texas Pinball Festival.
That was I actually met the guy who built the Dexter and Daphne emulation, and I didn't even know him. I just met him when Shane had a arcade cabinet running Daphne, which was a pretty new emulator at the time, and the creator of Daphne was standing next to it, and I was chatting with him, and he was talking about some of the problems he had when he built it and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's kind of fun to just meet people that code those kind of things and stuff. And
yeah, I never got that far into technical stuff. I can like this reactor stuff. I can read it and I can comprehend like sort of what's going on, but if you told me to sit down and program something,
yeah, me neither. Yeah, I just enjoy it.
Yeah,
let other people like Gleek program that shit.
yeah, let the experts program that.
Yeah,
I could hack it, but there's people that are way better than me. We know them all, Spaeth and Berzicki on Claw and all that stuff. High score saves, kits, and shit. So
yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah. Fun. It is good stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I wouldn't give you 1,000 for that. I would like a copy though for free.
Yeah, so you're gonna take him 40 or 3 hours to scan that.
Oh yeah, I'll pay you for your time then.
I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
I know.
I'm at the point. I'm like one of those get off my lawn guys right now. I don't. I'm so
good.
Comes with age.
Yeah, exactly.
There's freedom with it.
I just really want Donkey Kong code, man. Fuck Reactor.
Reactor is such a better game than Donkey Kong.
Sorry, it was just a joke.
Donkey Kong, I know.
I'm bringing it back down to the Donkey Kong level.
Yeah, I do like Donkey Kong 3. I'll give it that one. That one's good because you get to shoot shit. But the other one,
J-Rock too, I think he knows all that code and he codes out of his boards and stuff like that. So
yeah, actually, when my reactor broke, my board prepped out, I sent it to him and he fixed it.
there you go.
Yeah, he's like another one of my arcade hero gods.
Yeah, J-Rock's a hero.
Yeah.
Did anybody hear any news? I'm the news guy. I should look into this. But do you remember when we talked about how they were I forget the programmer's name, but the guy who made Major Havoc, how they were going to finish off that game. Owen Rubin, that's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were working on finishing that game because you know how that game doesn't have an ending. They ran out of space. But then he decided he's actually going to go in and finish it off, and it's going to have like an ending to the game, and it's kind of a Borg cube ending, you know, where you go to the mazes are on a Borg cube and they rotate. I don't know. I haven't heard. I thought that was supposed to be done by the end of the year or something, but I haven't heard a thing. Me neither. So keep your ear out if you guys see anything or hear anything about that.
Oh, that's right.
I thought he completed it. Wasn't it at California Stream last year? That's what I see. I don't play. I don't have time to play stuff, but I heard chatter that.
Yeah, because somebody played it to the end, one of Gak's friends, and it was, I think Gak filmed it, right? And I thought it was going to be
that was a work in progress though, and it glitches out, so it still has.
Oh god.
Yeah, the part where you shoot to get to the base and land is finished, but not the actual base part. Yeah, that's the part they still got to put in.
Not the part where you get to all the hookers and blow.
Yeah, that part. That's another
Congratulations,
fun game.
Major Havoc. Here's your hookers and blow.
Congratulations, you are divorced.
Grand Theft Havoc.
That's an inside joke. We shouldn't even talk about that. California Extreme, you gotta love it. Anyway, anyway, yeah. So I gotta look in and see if they finally did finish that, because that was supposed to be a free thing too that you can just put into your game, and I think it was a chip or something. You just put it in and it'll work. So
that's pretty cool that those guys can do that.
Yeah. It was something that always bothered him, though. It always bothered him that it didn't have the ending, you know. And they even had that one lawsuit where that kid actually got to the very end, and then it stopped at a certain level. And he's like, "Hey, there's no ending to this." And he took him to court and won.
Game does promise.
Wait a minute.
It's a quarter, kid.
Yeah. You know how many quarters I spent to get to the end?
I want them all back.
Yeah.
You know what? I just thought of an interesting story you guys might like. This was back when Star Wars came out, Atari Star Wars. So I think that was 83, right? When that came out?
Sounds right.
So anyhow, on the cover of one of the trade magazines, it showed the upright in the cockpit on the cover, you know, because it was coming out in the next couple of months. And since I got that magazine, I knew what it looked like. Well, at there were two arcades in our town, the Gold Mine and then the mom and pop one. Well, I went to the Gold Mine and I would hang out in the room where, you know, the guys worked, because they just knew who I was. And I was saying, "Oh yeah, this new Star Wars game's coming out and it's going to be awesome by Atari, blah blah blah." Well, the manager of the Gold Mine called the head office in Dallas and told him about the Star Wars game for whatever reason. And apparently the guy misunderstood and thought that the local arcade, the mom and pop arcade, had the Star Wars already, and it wasn't even released. So guess what happened about a few days later? Some suits from Atari go to this arcade.
Wow.
And
news travels fast.
Yeah. It was a big deal, thinking that there was one out in the wild. And so, but there wasn't one there, but I felt bad because
fooled you.
I think I may have said, yeah, they have one at Fun and Games already, you know, Atari Star Wars, they have one already. Only because I saw it on the cover of the trade magazine. So I think I caused a little bit.
That'd be hilarious to start stuff like, especially if you knew someone was going to make a personal visit. What a prank! That'd be awesome.
Just envisioning like the Atari thugs showing up, right? Like what they look like.
They look like agents from the Matrix.
Yeah, I was thinking like Men in Black. Yeah.
That shit still happens though. Like at CAX, the Namco's just down the street, like right next door, and they come by and they. In fact, I was talking to Rich this whole game. He purposely doesn't have anything Namco just because they're close and they could walk by and go, "Oh,
yeah,
oh, that's interesting." T-shirt with Pac-Man on it. Yeah. In fact, I think they're so strict they don't even want any 60-in-1 games there that run all that kind of stuff. You know, just to be on the up and up.
That's fair.
Which is yeah.
You know, I'm actually now that I think I just got approved for the Namco, the home versions of games, so I can sell those.
What is a home version?
The ones without the coin doors.
Of any game?
Yeah.
No, well, they only make like Pac-Man Party and
those. Okay.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Or
okay, the 3-in-1s and 2-in-1s.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool to get. I tried to get the full spectrum, but they only let me do home stuff.
Strict.
Yeah. So. Oh, and then let's see, another story is at one of the trade shows. I actually met Nolan Bushnell. That was like the highlight. That was like the swing moment of my life.
Did you tell him he got you onto Starcade?
No, but we actually played a game. This is when Dr. Mario was released.
Sweet.
So we actually played a game of Dr. Mario together.
You played a Nintendo game.
They put $500 on the line.
Yeah. And he's a tall guy. He's like 6'4". I mean, he's tall. Really nice. Really nice guy. But that's another one where I
was that for?
Yeah, I'm like,
he's tall. He was a tall guy.
Well, and also, see, I also met George Lucas, who was a short guy. This guy, George Lucas. So, but,
sorry to derail.
Yeah, you just derailed it.
Sorry, I normally have played like 800 sounds by this time on a normal show, and it's just that they've been bottling up inside.
The more you drink, the more sound effects we get.
Sorry.
No, I like the sound effects.
I'm putting the glass down.
Listen, you would have both hands ready for your to push the sound bite buttons. We know.
So, Steven, are you good at Warlords?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Then you definitely need to come to Grinkers.
You're in.
I always got my ass kicked. Like, there's a group of guys that play the cocktail at California Extreme, and they play for like $1 a game.
That's what we do at Grinkers. Yeah.
Yep.
But you can bring parts and lay them on the table.
Yeah, that's right.
Playing for 5K pots and
exactly.
Here's an original 720 gear. Yeah. That's worth at least 10 rounds.
Yeah. Oh, and then I used to collect. See, it was really weird because I love business, just any type of business. And so I used to collect business cards from like the guys that worked at the game companies. So I have all these business cards from like Data East and Atari and
Jenna Jameson.
Oh, cool.
Nintendo.
Christy Canyon.
Peter North.
Rod Jeremy.
I tried to warn you, Star, but this is just what happens.
Yeah, so the highlights for me are like meeting the president of SNK. It's like, well,
Whoa, that's sweet.
Yeah, at these trade shows, it's different these days because the industry is so small. But back in the late 80s and 90s when I would go, man, they would rent out the whole like convention center in Vegas, and there were just booths by all the major companies and all these games you could play for free and all this.
Was it the CES show or was it its own show?
No, this is the AMOA show. Amusement Operators Association.
Oh, okay.
This was like the trade show for the coin op industry. It was awesome. It's great.
Good night, Dave. We see that you're signing off.
Dave from Buffalo, you leaving?
East Coast.
Yeah, I gotta go. I got
See you, buddy.
bathroom problems tomorrow.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I thought you.
But Michelle Milestar does know what I'm talking about.
Hey, do you want to share a story? No.
No, he was there early. Renovations gone haywire.
Yeah.
The reality show will be on HGTV next fall.
I have experience in meeting men in bathrooms, so just.
Oh, jeez, you love that. In the park episode with Damon, jeez.
Well, but back when we had Blast from the Past, people used to think Damon and I were gay because we were everywhere. We went to the auctions together. We went to the shows.
Holding hands. Yeah.
Yeah, we would snuggle at night together, but
We were drinking Cosmos.
but we're not gay. I'm actually
There's
married.
nothing wrong with that.
No, there is not. None whatsoever.
Take care.
Well, all right. See you, Dave.
Be sure
Later, Dave.
Take care.
Marge.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for the advice on the park.
Yeah.
That one's for Dave. He gets a large Marge.
Yeah, we
One
forgot to give him the weekly. Hey, watch Bandersnatch there.
Oh, that's right. Watch
Of
Bandersnatch.
course.
Yeah, we'll have to put it into the Slack chat.
So we won't talk about it next week.
That's right. Exactly.
Go watch episode.
That's why he's avoiding it. He doesn't want us to talk about it again.
Or whatever it is. Do we even? I don't think our title even says we talk about Bandersnatch. We got to change that title, right?
Oh yeah.
Oops.
Talk about some snatch.
It could be Banter Snatch because we talk.
Banter Snatch.
That's too
nice.
clever for our viewers.
Or us.
Well,
I think most of our viewers are far more clever than us.
I agree.
No, not if they're watching the show.
Oh yeah, good point.
Oh,
That's on you, folks.
Right.
It's your fault.
They would feel better about themselves.
Well, since we're so divulged in arcade talk, I hear that there's something called Tempest in small form factor that.
Oh yeah, you go for it, Andrew.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I heard that was my little wink at so when I joined, it was just me and Andrew, and all I could hear were Tempest sounds.
That's actually the first time I fired it up. It's been
Fire it up,
fired it up.
fire it up, fire it.
Green.
I love the crow.
Yeah, I don't know. There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Present.
Slow. You're going too fast. Slow down.
All right.
Yeah.
Said no girl ever. Well, wait, no, it said every girl. Well, oh, look at that.
Wow.
I think it's a fun little device.
It is. It's cute. It's pretty. I think it's maybe more accurate than the Centipede. The Centipede.
So, if you wanted to get a world record, how would Clint? Would he look over your shoulder, or?
We'd set up a camera. Yeah. But yeah, no, it plays pretty well. So they added the spinner on it is quite a bit taller.
Oh yeah,
in proportion.
It's like a pencil eraser.
You can actually get a pretty good. And my hands are pretty big.
Like a nipple.
It's like a nipple. Yeah, it's like a. Yeah, you're like. Great.
Oh, doable.
I got one too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh,
but it sounds pretty good.
Was the back open or no? Back door?
So yeah, that knob pops off, and they give you these little teeny knobs.
They're like side.
That are, it's like to scale, I guess, of the Tempest from the
that's
arcade.
impressive.
But it's almost unplayable with those itty bitty knobs, right?
Yeah, it's really just more for looks
to look at. Yeah, so it's got
the itty bitty titty.
Itty bitty,
but it has it's like the buttons itself on it are actually like properly arcade buttony shaped, and they're pretty good.
It's got the cone buttons.
It does actually look like a cone buttons. Yep.
I hate these little stickers right here. Did you take yours off?
Garrett could use one.
I got rid of all those stickers.
I gotta get these off. These are stupid.
Well, and the little volcano buttons even light up and everything.
They do light up. Yep.
Yeah.
And this door opens
Those are
up
like $30
here.
a piece.
Where do you get the little tiny quarters to put in?
There are little quarters that come with the Centipede. I don't know if the
Monopoly
quarters
money.
came with.
Yeah, we didn't get quarters with this one.
Okay, so the Centipede
Oh,
came
that's
with
awesome.
quarters, but this one didn't. I guess.
So I have a complaint with mine. Do you have a complaint
Uh-oh.
with yours?
Not yet.
So far, my complaint is that it does not last very long.
The
I had it
battery?
in the bar, and the battery lasted a half hour.
Oh well,
Oh.
that's a good question.
I thought
Well,
that
hopefully you're
sucked.
not very good at the game.
I would think it should last quite a bit longer than that.
Yeah, you'd think it has heft to it. Like you could feel there's
Yeah.
a battery in there somewhere. So
Just
Can you,
a switching power supply. You're all good.
Can you plug it in like an AC adapter? Or
Yeah,
something?
it's got
Yeah,
like a
yeah, you
mini
can.
USB.
Oh, nice. All right.
And that,
it's
that
really
charges the
loud
battery.
too and bassy.
Yeah, and you can the volume controls on the back, so if you need to turn it up or down. Mine
Yeah,
says-
Mock. Quit complaining.
So the back of yours, Mock, on this little bit here.
Yeah.
So
I don't have that
You don't have the backdoor sticker at all.
because you have you got yours.
So mine's a backer. Oh yeah, because mine says backer edition 33.
Yeah, I was just a peon follower.
Mox is a counterfeit.
All right.
See, Andrew got it for the for as the backing price, and I came on board just from seeing the advertisement on Facebook. I said, "Those look cool. I want one."
Mox is a fake.
So
One of those cheap
33.
Chinese
Give you a
strip clubs.
34.
Oh,
I know. There you go. I don't know if you can even see that.
That's cute.
Yeah, but they look
Your
nice
head
together.
is huge, Andrew.
Oh my god.
Actually, it's so close up, we can see the reflection of your
Yeah.
scoreboard.
Oh look, you can see. Yeah, up there. There you go.
It says Kong.
They can
Yeah.
fight.
So you actually have to push this button to add credits, and then
Yeah.
push this button to start. Just like I think that's kind of cool. You have to do that.
Yeah.
So see how
Those look
loud
awesome.
it is.
They are toys.
Can you
but
now if they make a Forgotten Worlds Circus Charlie, could you replace your entire arcade with those? And you could have like 4,000 games in your garage.
I can fit a lot more than I have in here now. Yeah.
It sounds pretty loud, right?
yeah, very.
That's got some good volume to it.
Yeah.
That's cute. Yep.
I like it. I like that the marquee lights up too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's like a must.
Yeah, but even that one up arcade cabinet doesn't even have a light up marquee. You gotta, those things are like $200 or $300. Stupid.
Yeah, true.
Well, IKEA does not believe in including marquee lights.
IKEA. Do I get beef stroganoff with that arcade cabinet?
A hot dog,
Meatballs. Meatballs, yeah.
meatballs. Yeah.
With the lean
Meatballs and yeah.
so good.
that was like one of the first major milestones for me and Carrie was surviving IKEA together.
I know, right? I'm like, wow, look at us.
You go in there and you're like trapped in their little maze and you can't get out until you buy
Oh,
something.
but we got a secret tip from one of the employees on how to cut through all of
The
that
secret
stuff.
passages.
Yeah, there's little
Secret
secret
passages.
spots if
Yeah.
you look for them.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It was like fucking Clue.
Now, did you go on the weekend or a weekday?
Would have to be a
Weekend.
weekend because we never see each other during the weekdays.
Okay, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
because
Oh, I know.
Well,
the real
that-
test.
no,
right,
he's
exactly
got a
right.
good point
Got
though.
him.
You were on the show the one time over here on the Tuesday.
Oh, that's true. No, that's
Mm-hmm.
true. And so, which meant that I was there, in fact, on a Monday. But no, we've done it
Proper on a weekend.
like properly. Like I think
Yeah.
twice we've been to, or maybe even 3
And
times we've been to
Costco.
IKEA. Yeah,
Hmm.
right before Thanksgiving too. That was a oops.
Ooh.
But we
I
made
wouldn't
it.
even go there alone on a weekend. It's like, just walk out there.
Yeah.
I'd walk out there hating myself.
I hate myself.
That's what you do
A
when you
line
want to
to
pick
leave
a
the
fight. When you
building.
want to get into a brawl with some random schmo.
I like those YouTube videos where people go to IKEA and then they go to sleep in one of the beds.
There's videos of that. Jesus.
Yeah.
Why am I not surprised? Live stream me sleeping in IKEA. Yeah.
So got to test it.
That's right. Speaking of testing,
I don't
did you
like
guys
this
see
bed.
my-
It gives me bad dreams.
Did you guys see my my posts with my test recordings of
Oh, not yet. I did
my
see that you
games.
posted them, but I didn't actually get a chance. To look
I
at them
just
yet.
did a new one for Toki. I figured out some better settings. So so I got my OSSC, which is my part of my chain of capture devices, so I can do a direct feed for my games. And I spend a lot of money on it. I mean, to me, it's a lot of money. To console streamers, people on Twitch, it's not that much money, but it's like $200. It's basically this device that will. It's not the same as an upscaler. So, it's called OSSC. It stands for Open Source Scan Converter. So it's an open source device. And this guy in Great Britain, I'm probably going to get that screwed up here. Someone in the IRC will correct me, I'm sure. But he designed this device, and what it does is it'll take just like any source, like it could be a console, could be an arcade. In my case, it's an arcade game. It's got multiple inputs for different streams or different sources. And what it does is it doesn't necessarily upscale it. What it does is it multiplies the lines. So we're taking arcade games, 240p is what is. So you're talking like 320 pixels wide, typically 240 pixels vertical. So this will take that, and in order to get, like, let's say in my case, I want to get 720p or 1080p, like an HD signal. It'll just duplicate the lines. So if you do 2x, double, and you'll get, instead of 320 by 240, you get 640 by 480, and then, you know, so on and so forth. It goes all the way up to 5 times. And so it does this really, really well, even out of the box. Like, you don't have to change hardly anything other than how many lines you want it to duplicate. So yesterday I was running some tests, and I was just blown away at how much better this thing handled. So before this, I bought one of those cheap Chinese converter boards that is supposed to convert an arcade signal into a VGA signal so that you can use like an LCD. They're really common, like, and they're only like $20-25. But I just was not impressed, which didn't surprise me. I'm a video nut. Plus, this is a $20-some board, really, you know. So I decided to invest in one of these. I kind of bit the bullet, and it was fucking amazing investment. Like, it's so good. So right out of the box, I was impressed with the quality. So yesterday I was running a bunch of tests, and I figured out some additional settings and stuff today. You can really customize the settings to get this thing like locked in. Like, if Keith was on here, he'd tell you the same thing. He uses it, like, this device is most commonly used with console stuff. So if you wanted to use your Nintendo, your Super Nintendo, your Sega Genesis, your really old consoles, and hook them up to like a 55 or 60 inch or whatever high definition TV, 4K, whatever, you would use this, because not only does it kind of upscale, it increases the resolution because it's duplicating the lines, but there's no input lag. So you can basically just take your, let's say your Nintendo, plug this thing in, do whatever settings appease to you, and then play just like you would on your old CRT, but on a giant screen. But in my case, I want to use this as a capture device or a streaming device. And so it doesn't, there are some differences with that. But the big thing is that if you want to really customize this, you need to have some special test patterns. But the automatic settings right out of the box are amazing. So I was just blown away yesterday with my tests I was doing. Today I did like a 5-minute test with some of the new settings I applied with Toki, and it's pretty damn amazing. So I'm really excited. And tomorrow my splitter device is supposed to show up, thanks to our good friend Mike Mann. He knows the guy that made Andrew. Remember I posted in Slack that splitter device where I'm like, God damn, if I had known. So I have 2 different devices on their way. One's from France. It was like $30, and then this one, which is specifically designed for streaming. The other one, the one from France, is meant to kind of split the signal. It's more meant for strictly around JAMA stuff. It's really common in the fighting game community. And but this other one, this guy designed specifically to amplify the signal as well as buffer it. So it's meant to not affect playing your game on your cabinet while streaming. So it shouldn't have any effect on the picture on your arcade monitor while you're sending the signal out.
Right.
So that's supposed to Mike hooked me up because he knew the guy that designed that. So that's supposed to arrive tomorrow. So that's the other piece of this puzzle. And so I'm hoping, I don't like to put dates on things, but I'm feeling pretty good with how well this went, that by next week I should at least have all my tests performed to the point where I can start building my my final setup and rig, because basically, so Milestar, I've been talking for a while now. I want to make a portable, semi-portable, because there are going to have to be cables run, but a rig that I can move from cabinet to cabinet easily, just plug it in and be able to send a direct feed into my capture device, so that I can do I can either do live streaming or gameplay videos that have that direct feed. Because I'm so sick of, like, I have nothing against setting up a camera on the arcade monitor, but I get my OCD kind of kicks in, my video OCD, where I get tired of seeing refresh lines and where they're not perfectly synced up with the camera, which is nearly impossible to do with an arcade monitor because of their frequency. You can get it really close, but that gets annoying after a while. I would like to also have just a direct feed with my gameplay videos. So that's how this project began. And there's, surprisingly, you can YouTube, you can be like arcade stream or arcade Twitch channels or whatever you want to do a search for, and there are very, very, very few streams and feeds that show not just the direct feed and a webcam of the person's face, but a direct feed and a picture of of a video of the person on the cabinet as well as that. So what they're doing is they're playing the game either on their PC or they're not actually splitting the signal from the cabinet. So there's not a lot of that. I've come across like a couple videos, but there's not a lot of people that are successfully doing this that I've actually seen. So
yeah,
it's either MAME or they're sending the signal directly to their LCD, their computer, without actually playing it on the cabinet at the same time.
I think Billy Mitchell could help you out with that.
I was not ready for that. I was going to play a rim shot, but yeah. Yeah. So that's it's been a fun project, because part of this sparked from the point the fact I did this gameplay video with Arkanoid like a month ago, and it was bothering me because if I set my camera up, if I set my camera up on most of my games, it's the effect is subtle. It's there. This diagonal refresh line it's subtle, but it's there. But if I do it on Vision Pros, they operate at some other refresh rate, because you get this solid black line coming diagonally, and no matter what setting I change, I cannot completely get rid of it. And that's so that was bothering me, coupled with the fact that I can't restore a game because I'm in Minnesota and we've got like 2 feet of snow and it's cold, and so I've got projects that I want to work on, but I can't do it just because it's too cold to go outside. And so I'm like, well, wait, I would like to do this. I would like to be able to take a direct feed. Wow, this is a great project. This will help. and it's exploded. It's like turned into this huge thing. I thought it was just going to be a simple little thing that, a couple weeks, No, now it's become this investment. Like I put all this money into this. It's become this big project, which as much as I would like to complain about it, it's probably a good thing for me because it holds me over until spring. So that's what I've been working on for the last few weeks. Long-winded way of explaining what this is that I'm working on.
And you're
pretty cool.
Your breakthrough.
And I'm really close. Yesterday was a huge breakthrough. I can't believe how awesome this device is. And you can go online and find all kinds of videos and stuff where people are talking about, all right, here are my advanced settings for getting Super Nintendo look absolutely beautiful. And so earlier today, I was actually looking at that. I was looking at how can I make this stuff look even better, even though it looks great. And ultimately, I decided that I should stick with the automatic settings on a lot of the stuff, because each game, you're talking about each PCB is a little bit different from the other. Because originally I was like, oh, I will just plug in Crafty Mech's TPG. This is what I was doing earlier today. And I will hone in the settings on that, and then I'll plug, and then I'm like, what am I doing? That makes no fucking sense, because every arcade board is going to be a little bit different. And so you can't really, unless you're going to make one profile for each individual game, it's not feasible. Plus, not every game has really good test patterns on the board. So that kind of answered that. Anyways.
Hello, guys.
All right, Gleek. Hey, thanks for showing us your great do.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye, Mike.
See you, Mike.
Or
See you, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Both is fine.
See you in the IRC. That was good.
Are you leaving us too, Steve? Or
no? No, that was just
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a chat behind.
He's still auditioning. He has to stick it out all the way to the end, don't you? Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah, no. People duck out.
I think the end is near.
I'll tell you guys to fuck off and leave. So don't worry about it.
Nice.
Wait, it's our room. You fuck off and leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that fits right in with that.
I declare a thumb war. No.
No, it's 11, quarter to 12 here.
Yeah,
so,
we should probably end the show. Actually, all
I
things
mean, unless anyone has any other news or stuff to talk about, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I got a story I'm going to tell next week because I'm tired. I was up cleaning up doggy vomit all last night. So,
how's Poochie? Is he still sleeping?
Yeah, she's still sleeping.
I made a noise like this.
Hopefully she sleeps through the night. Yeah.
I have a cat that throws up like all the fucking time, and I call it.
That's why you don't have cats.
I call her Kitty Carpenter.
That's
funny. Fucked up, right?
Yeah, it is. I made a Carpenter's reference earlier today.
Yeah, that's what made me think of it.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I swear she threw up all night long up in the bedroom, and then this morning I let her outside where she had some diarrhea, and she came inside, drank a bunch of water, and I'm like, yes, she drank water. I think she went back outside, sniffed around a little bit, walked back in the house, walked across the hardwood floor, and then vomited all over the water, all over the shag carpet. Like, you were outside. You could have thrown up there. You were on hardwood floor. You could have thrown up there.
Oh, I know.
No,
right?
You're gonna walk over to the
always
area
go for
rug.
the carpet.
They wait until they're right on carpet. I have like hard floors. Hardwood floors, and they still puke on the carpet part.
Yeah, no, gotta walk to the carpet to vomit. I'm like,
couldn't do it in the bathroom where it's like tile. You couldn't do it in the kitchen where there's tile. No, you got to go in the living room where I sit and watch TV and barf right next to me.
Sometimes cats are jerks.
Fuck you! I trust you, Steve. I trust you.
Yeah.
I don't feel good. Look.
both my cats.
Clean that shit up.
Both my cats were outdoor cats, so they go outside. They would eat grass. They'd come inside. Again, not on the tile, not on the hardwood. It would be couch the carpet,
please,
or
for God's
the
sake,
bed.
Stop it. There's no.
Yeah.
Stop
The bed. Oh, the bed.
I
Yeah.
Stop it.
discovered that one night. So
Oh.
maybe that's Steve's problem. He is in California, so they do have a lot of grass down there.
Yeah.
Get a dog so the dog eats the throw up.
Yeah.
You don't have to clean it up.
They do like the poop. Dogs do like cat
They
poop.
do.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Apparently cats don't digest things real well. Like leave
No.
interesting chunks.
Yes.
My brother's dog
in
loves
your
eating
garden.
deer and rabbit poo. We
Mm.
can't figure it out.
And it's not even hairballs. Like that's another whole issue. Like
Yeah.
I'm talking about like cat food. She's always throwing up cat food all the time. Like hairballs, she likes to throw up underneath our bed. That's
Leaves you a nice little morning.
Please tell me you check for those like every couple
yeah,
of days.
little,
Otherwise,
little
second
hair sausages.
Right? Well, can't you smell them? Aren't they like just nasty smelling? So you're like,
Leaves
oh,
you a
there
nice
must be a
little,
hairball.
nice little
Sometimes they don't
present.
smell.
You know, mixed in with
No, they
cat
don't.
food and
Oh.
hair.
Here's a nice little.
If it's
I
just
did not know
hair
that.
and if it's just hair and like
it.
stomach bile, it doesn't
Oh,
really
gross.
smell.
Boy, this show went off the rails. Didn't
I
it?
know it did. Sorry.
I timed that
Next
one for you,
week, I'm going to tell an embarrassing arcade story.
All right.
All right.
That's
Hey,
what I look forward to.
Well,
that's a
thanks,
fun one.
Stephen, for coming on
Yeah.
our show.
This is super
Hey,
fun.
come
fun.
back anytime.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you can put up with this last half an hour,
That's what the show's usually like.
That's usually what the entire show is like. So if you're okay with that, come back anytime.
All right. I appreciate it. I had fun. Thanks, guys and gals.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's nice.
Thanks, everybody,
it's
for
nice
coming.
seeing you face to face.
Yeah.
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 And thanks
We had,
again for the Donkey Kong ornament.
Not a problem.
If you watch the last Christmas show, I was talking about it. I think a little bit. I was pretty hammered, but it was. I was really happy about that. It was a really nice gesture.
Oh, you weren't the only one that was pretty.
Not only did he send me one, he sent me two.
Just went via Mexico.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
We
I
had
got a
lot of
nice
people-
Neo Geo card. If I didn't get the second one, I would just hung up the Neo Geo memory card on my Christmas tree. It doesn't have that same appeal. Yeah. So thanks.
No. Not a problem, guys. All right. You guys have a good evening, I guess. Or well,
right.
it's already
Hey,
tomorrow.
take it easy. Think about Fun Spot this spring.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Or Grinkers.
And Grinkfest.
And drinkers.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll think of
All
that.
right.
All right.
See
Okay.
you, buddy.
Take it easy.
Bye, guys.
All right,
Bye.
take us out.
And thanks everybody for coming. And we had a lot of people actually on the show today. We had a lot of people in IRC.
42 at one point.
Whoa, I thought it was 30. Okay, so that's
We're at
that's
30,
awesome.
34 right now.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
Nice number, huh, Andrew?
I didn't set that up, I swear.
34,000.
Can you imagine?
So-
the chat?
No.
Yeah, rolling it.
I can't imagine being a host on Outsiders when there were like 90 people
90
in there.
people, yeah.
Oh yeah, sometimes it was
You
crazy.
could
Oh,
not.
Carrie's-
You had to scroll.
Carrie's out.
Fading
And Gia-
fast.
All right, let's call it a night. All right,
All
good
right.
night,
Yeah.
everybody.
Take us out.
Yep.
Love ya.
See you guys.